But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory. Hello everybody and welcome back to more CVRcade World Cup Racing live here on the CVR World Cup Mixer page. As always, my name is Jesper Anker, and for the next 2 hours and a bit more today, we're going to be watching some high-level, intensive, immersive, but not least fun racing. These racers across the world, they've been duking it out. This is the 7th week of the racing. We're halfway through it. Everyone is starting to look towards week 8. But before we get there, there are some very important points up for grabs. On Tuesday was the highest scoring multipliers ever available in an Omnium set. Now, in the interest of fairness, it'll be the same thing today and the same thing again on Saturday. So it's essentially make-up racing for those that have not been able to race and compete every week so far. So now everyone is out. They want to gather the points, they want to move up the seedings, and the stage has been set. Today could be some of the best racing you've ever seen on the CVRcade platform. But without further ado, let's go talk to one of our racers. I always love getting a good pre-race chat with Timothy Termont. Timothy, it is a sad day for all around the world of the Timothy Termont fan club. The mustache man is no more. Now it's just stubble face. Timothy, the racing today, wind on every track. How do you feel?
A lot more aero. Yeah. Nah, feeling a little bit tired, still a little bit sick, but we're just going to help the team as much as we can.
I see you've got numbers on course. You've got you've got Tim, you've got Quentin. Now, you brought out all the stops. You had a successful day of racing on Tuesday. Back for more here. I mean, Zone K seems to be the team cycling hub zone.
Oh, yeah. I'm also doing double zones, so we'll see if... I just saw Nils is not joining for L, but we'll see if Quentin and Tim are doing Zone L as well.
It'll be fun to watch. First race up here has got wind, and it's the strategist I like to go talk to who helped me in the co-commentary on Tuesday was Casey Shum. Now, Casey, this first race here, the no-skill event, has got quite a moderate wind. How do you think that's going to shake things up?
I think you got to make sure you stay in the pack, but I don't think it'll shake it up too much. With the no-skill, we're actually like riding inside of one another. So I don't think the echelon will come in play unless you get a little gap. So I think the pack might be a little tighter, but I think overall it'll race the same. You just can't get caught out.
10 laps though. There's a lot of racing, lots of opportunities to get caught out here, especially when you look around and your eyes catch one animation then the other. But Casey, you've got Christian Whiteman here today. Is there a strategy in the Team X camp?
Nothing discussed, but Christian and I always work well together when the opportunity presents itself. So just business as usual. We won't hurt one another. We'll help each other when we can.
Business as usual. We'll see how Casey Shum and Christian Whiteman of Team X handle the case at hand. Also broadcasting in today, Ben Shuey along of Team CCC. Now, he's got a great interview with us coming out tomorrow at 10 a.m. UK time over on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed and ready for that podcast to drop. Tim Fulford is back in amongst the racing, and he wants to try and gather some points as he's doing some pre-race stretching here to get fully ready to go. Peter Kastrup, who obliterated the competition on Tuesday in Zone L, is back for more here, and he will strike fear in all racers amongst the world. Quentin Molyneux is in the racing as well from Team Cycling Hub. So 3 Team Cycling Hub members make the broadcasting here today in Zone K as it gets underway. I think you'd be surprised here how the wind affects it. You saw Casey, you heard Casey say he doesn't really think it's going to affect it much. With the way in which the road curves left and right, this could all change. Paula and Kinjal early and off the front. We go to the back, and Nigel Doyle, who's also streaming in here, being caught off guard and forced to use an early comeback kit. Odd turn is favored to get back here though, because the blob is not moving, or it should be moving a bit slower than usual due to the wind and changing. As we go back up into the front group, Quentin Molyneux. I mean, it is still a blob, but it's much more stretched out than we usually see. And look at the equalized wattage. They're having to push real hard here. Tim Fulford off the back, moving on up. Timothy Tamad sitting off the back. I've seen Timothy do this time and time again. Just flirt with danger. As Ryan Nigel Kinjal off the back. Paula is up here. Big shout out to her as she's doing great job. About 2.5 kilometers remain, and the wind is really having an impact here. Early on, the riders are having to produce extra bit of wattage on the event that's supposed to be the warm-up event. This is the event that's supposed to get them accustomed to what's ahead. And I mean, the scoring multiplier today adds up to about 9.5. That is up there with the highest scoring multiplier ever allowed in the CVRcade World Cup. So of course everybody's going to come out and show what they've got here. And that also means that racing is not going to be straight cutthroat. This is the first ever no-skill event that has a scoring multiplier higher than a 1. But it looks like everyone has kind of gotten accustomed to it now as the first-person camera view. This is what you're seeing inside the game and the high-level detail of the different riders as Timothy, once again, just flirts a bit with danger. And I think he's trying to squeeze out every single wattage. He's trying to squeeze out every single advantage here to rest up and be prepared. But when you're yo-yoing like this, sometimes you end up spending a bit more energy. But the big... the guys that have lost a bit of potential here early on, Nigel Doyle just getting caught off guard with how the wind changed the racing at the front, says no, I'm done. Kinjal Desai, she initiated the attacking, but she's now finding herself off the back. Ryan Goldenberg as well, of Velocity Vixen, is gone, but we move back up onto the front here as it's Tim Fulford now leading the front with Ben Shuilong. 1 comeback kit is available, no Racer's Edge here today. So we'll see who is going to be the first one to launch. 3 Cycling Hub members. You'd assume one of them would go early, but I think all 3 of them are more suited to go longer and going later and waiting for that big kick towards the end. Casey Shum, as we see him here in 3rd place, he's been up there. He's been toying with some good positions here, but this race is so quick now. It's picking up 59 kilometers an hour on the front. They had some jitters in the first lap, but now with 1 lap remaining, I think this is the last lap, 300 meters. Paula's in here, Rick, Ben, Tim, Christian, Timothy, Quinton, everyone is in here, but Peter Kastrup, 1300 equalized watts. He is producing everything as the washing machine goes once more. Peter, 1st place, Christian, 2nd, Tim, 3rd. We await the official results. But Peter Kastrup there with 1400 equalized watts as we look once more. Everybody looking around, waiting as they cross the start-finish banner for the penultimate time. Next time they cross it, it's the final time. But Peter just going, right, it's time to go. I've got it. And with how the wind is here, you get less of a draft. You got more an advantage if you go off the front. And he just gives it everything. 1400 equalized watts into a tailwind. Up to 67 kilometers an hour. And Tim Fulford trying to bridge the gap with comeback kit. As you can see, Peter just rocking left and right. But he is all good. Peter, demoted to the garage today, but promoted in the standings. 1st place in the first race. That must feel good.
Yeah, it does. It always feels good to win a race. And I seem to get the hang of these races. Know when you have to go, where you have to go from. Positioning is very important. So yeah, I'm getting the hang of it. So.
Now, last time you did this, Peter, was Tuesday Zone L. We saw a very dominant Peter Kastrup show up, winning by over a minute on Rocky Mountains. What are the sensation likes in the legs? Are they similar to Tuesday?
No, they are they are a lot worse, I'm afraid. But I was talking to Ben earlier, and I said sometimes before the race, it feels like the legs won't do anything, and I will finish last for sure. And then you start racing and everything's fine. So I can't do any prediction on this one. So we just see how it goes, and I'll try my best.
Well, half the game is mental as well, Peter. I'll let you get back to it and rest up and get ready. Third place in the last sprint, Tim Fulford. Tim, how did you like having the wind in the no-skill event? Because the first lap or so looked a bit chaotic.
Yeah, I don't think it had a huge effect, but I think it definitely had an effect. Strung out a little bit, really hard to get back in even if you slightly lost the wheel. And then the final two corners were headwind corners, so you don't want to go too early, but Peter lighting it up, even a comeback kick and getting back, so never mind.
Country rally now, have you found the rhythm?
Nah. Nope. But we'll hope to in the next 5 laps.
I like it. Let's get a word from Quinton Molyneux. Quinton, we saw you race last Tuesday. As we see him getting the homework out. What are you reading there, Quinton?
The max speeds. I wanted to be sure that I'm not using the wrong speeds here.
Absolutely love that. You had the rhythm, like sudden lane change last week. You put on a master display. Once you've kind of done the last minute revision there, do you think you got the rhythm on this one as well?
Well, let's hope so. There's wind involved, so it's going to be tricky to break away from the start. So I'm not sure how this race is going to develop. We'll see.
We'll see. Thank you, Quinton. We'll let the rest get ready. But as Quinton mentioned, there is wind involved. A 7 kilometers an hour wind. And from the start line, it's a crosswind. Now, I think we can expect to see wind at your back getting used early on. We do have a new asset to show. But due to popular demand, we needed a full screen scoreboard asset. Now, up there, you can see. I'm trying to get used to it. I'm not a weatherman here, but I'm trying to show you that it's slightly clouded over here on my right. As you can see, Peter on the front, Christian, Tim, Timothy, Rick, etc. down. First race of 5 here as Country Rally comes up. I think we can expect to see power-ups lighting up the action early on here. Wind at your back in the beginning turns a crosswind into a tailwind. And as we've seen with Peter, as we've seen with Frank, as we've seen so many times before with Beth, with Ryan, it is all about that initial rhythm gain. It's all about getting out in front and avoiding the traffic. If you can choose your lane, that's where you're in an advantage. But Paula, early off the front, Nigel, with wind at his back, but everybody is laying down the wattage. As one, no, Paula! Oh, she goes down from Velocity Vixen. Heart just beats a little bit there. As Timothy, Casey on the front, side by side. Nigel with a premature corner caper there into the corner, just wanting to make sure that he gets on through. We saw him and Ben race this one before, as it is all strung out here. We go down to Peter Kastrup, the CCC member. He's in trouble here. Peter's, ooh, he barely gets in there. His teammate almost taking him out in that corner. You get to watch the replay. They pass Barney the barn door and onto the hay bales they go as, oh, in the replay, both CCC riders take each other down. So they avoid it. But while the replay runs, Nigel goes down. Peter follows Nigel, and that was an ill-advised move as both CCC team members there both hit the tarmac. Meanwhile, on the front, Casey Shum. He's got the rhythm. He's performed well on Country Rally before, but it's a long race. It's 5 laps in total, and we now watch as the hungry dogs now try and get back on top. They want to get the alpha position, and we watch it's Timothy Tamont in second place. He's got the rhythm down here. He's rocking left and right. He gets away from the same thing that took down Peter and Nigel earlier on. We get to the start-finish banner. Only Nigel have used his power-ups. He's used his wind at back and corner caper. So everyone opting to save it for later. Tim and Timothy just linking up here with Quinton on the back. Christian Weidman there as well. But Ben Shuilong has escaped the imminent doom that fell upon both his team members and is now trying to chase down the front. He's a rider who's progressively just gotten better and better and better at races like Sudden Lane Change, Country Rally. Races, ooh, Christian playing with danger. Races that you need to get better with, and look at that from Timothy Tamont. Timothy Tamont can be proud with that one, as he makes Christian Weidman take a seat. If we got it on the instant replay, bring it up. You cannot make other people crash, but you can force them into the mistake, as on the screen. Timothy in the replay goes down as well. Timothy forces Christian Weidman to meet Bonnie the barn door, say hi, exchange gifts, and maybe be back for seconds. But meanwhile, while that happens, Timothy Tamont made a mistake going too hot into the corner. Now on the front, Tim and Quinton, they are just surrounding their prey, which is Casey Shum. Quinton on the right, Tim on the left. They're just applying the pressure. They're trying to force Casey Shum into making a mistake here. Keeping your head calm under pressure is a very valuable trait to have when it comes to the CVRcade World Cup, because you're racing for a lot of money. Every seeding matters here. Oh, and Quinton just trying to force a mistake, but it wasn't meant to be, as Casey Shum comes on through here. As now you see Quinton on the left. They're moving on through. I think they're preparing to try and catch Casey off guard here with a pincer maneuver, but there's still plenty of racing left. It's 5 laps of Country Rally. The scoring multiplier here is a 2.5, the second highest of the night. As now you see side by side, Tim Fulford has taken the lead on the straightaway. Meanwhile, Casey on the inside. Gotta be careful they don't get the same Christian Weidman treatment for Team X riders. As we look, Barney the Barn Door is coming up. Now Casey regains the lead by taking the shorter route through, but there's another overtaking opportunity coming up here on the straightaway. Casey goes left, Quinton goes right, Tim goes right as well, as they now have to avoid the bots. Casey getting a bit lucky, but now he's forced to brake again and try and move over. Highly tactical racing on the front, and it comes down to maximizing every turn. Comes down to knowing the corner speeds. You saw Quinton do his revision. So far, it's to an A, but will it be to an A+? We'll see at the end of the racing here as Casey once more regains the lead. It's very tense here at the top, because every corner, every straightaway, the lead is changing. They fine-tuned their motors. They've really engaged themselves in this, and they understand that with the points on offer and with the racing at hand, this one will most likely set the tone for the rest, as Vanessa and Paula synchronized crashing in the back. 2.6 kilometers remain. Peter 12 seconds back. Ben 4 seconds back, but all eyes are on the front. Quinton is in trouble here. Quinton is going to have to navigate. Oh, very well done. That was a tricky situation for Quinton Molinez there. Suboptimal lane choice due to his teammate just being in front of him and overlapping the wheels. But Casey Shum, he is surrounded. He's got a cycling hub rider on his left. He's got a cycling hub rider on his right. This is the package, everybody, that's being delivered. Air Force One with Casey Shum on board is coming on to the hay bales, and the equalized hot rates are coming up. Tim is at 195, and now you've got Casey at 186, Quinton at 187 coming into the hay bales. Casey's in trouble. Casey is in trouble. There's the mistake. Tim Fulford, Quinton Molinez, let's bring that up on the replay. This is what they've been trying to do. And Casey letting his guard down for just a second, coming into the hay bales. Casey needs to brake hard. He sees it coming. Tim overlaps the wheels, and he cannot get out of it, and he knows it. But this opens the door for Ben Shuilong. Using his corner caper, he's moved up the rankings, and he now sits 3rd on the stage and 4th on the overall. But currently, this favors Tim Fulford at the front. These are not his preferred zones, so he is missing out on 16 bonus points a day. But he's looking calm, he's looking composed. And with 1.5 kilometers remaining, Cycling Hub have forced the mistakes. They took out Christian Weidman, they took out Casey Schum, not to dinner, but to a meeting with Bonnie the Barn Door and the Hay Bales. And so far they have succeeded in what they set out to achieve. Now it's all about finishing the job. Further down those, now Quinten uses his wind on his back. I assume Tim will do the same. But we look, the pre-race leader coming into this one was Peter Kastrup. He's yet to use his power-ups. Everybody deploying their power-ups on the front. Quinten with wind at his back. Tim with wind at his back. Ben Shuilong with wind at his back. But we look at Peter Kastrup. I think he can still get back up to Casey and take valuable points. As he uses Corner Caper. Corner Caper gets used here, which seems to have a new animation in the game, which I've just noticed for the first time. But Peter Kastrup moving to the left here with Corner Caper. I think he wanted to use wind at his back, but a mispress. Meanwhile, on the front, Tim Fulford with his Corner Caper. Quinten with his Corner Caper. Maybe they're trying to make other riders hurt here. Not sure if they've got a strategy here. But Tim, Quinten, now they both come to the finish line. They know that Ben has used his power-ups. Casey has used his as well. Casey is pushing on to try and catch back up to Ben. But it's going to be a tough ask. With 3 seconds is the differ. And that crash really took him down. Tim Fulford, though, there's no gifts in cycling at 193 equalized heart rate, 7 beats off his maximum. Tim, third in the last race, and in this race, he will not be beaten, as with 200 meters remain, he'll have a left turn coming up now, and we'll see Cycling Hub cross the finish line. They can be very proud of the way they raced that, but now the question beckons. How much energy did that sap out of them? There is a Cityscape New York coming up after this. Business as usual from Tim. No celebration. Quinten in second. That looked like a rough one. Ben Shuilong in third. And you've got Casey Schum in fourth. Ben looks happy with it. Casey will only be wondering what could have been if it wasn't for the crash. Peter gets out of the way of Paula, and he will take 5th place out on course. That moves him down to 2nd place on the Omnium, but there's still plenty of racing left to go. Timothy and Nigel suffering crushing results here. So Vanessa had a good race, Rick was up there, but what an event. You can see the effort on Quinten's face. That was by no means easy. To finding the rhythm in that one, they had to play a few notes until they found the right one, and in the end the base led the way. And Quinten Molyneux, Tim Fulford first, second, Ben Shuilong down in third. Casey Schum. That crash was magnificent. Now, we did speak to Tim prior to the last race. Want to get a quick word from Quinten as he revised the course. He looked at the notes. They went to plan. Quinten, you and Tim first and second. That must be a pretty good feeling.
That's a perfect start to the evening. And I say start because there's a no-skill event in my eyes. There's not really much tactic to it. It's timing and a little bit of luck. But looks like we're in for a good evening of racing.
Timothy takes out Christian. Tim takes out Casey. Does that bring a bit smile to your face? I know there's no bad blood, but when you're head-to-head and you really don't want to suffer so much, does that bring a smile?
Well, I can't lie. I'd rather have somebody crash out than me having to crash my legs to drop them. So I'm not mad that they crashed, no.
Well, let's get a word from one of them. Casey, you were up there. You were against the odds. Tim, Quinten, they've got you boxed in. And then, just that one hay bale. Talk me through it.
Yeah, I mean, I made a mistake, but it was cued by their placement on the road. And I was paying attention the entire time, and they saw me doing it too. Like, one of those guys would go to the inside lane. I'd half wheel them, and they would have to sprint in front of me to get back over. And they were doing the same thing to me, and that's okay. That's fair racing. I simply made a mistake there. I was afraid Tim changed lanes and hit the brakes. And I'm like, I can't change lanes because he's coming back. But the hay bale was in front of me. And we don't have that situation enough yet. It took me too long to process it and make a decision. So I know what to do next time. But good gameplay by them, that's what you have to do, is just put yourself in a position to make me get distracted and make a mistake. So kudos to them. It was well played.
I like it, Casey. Now coming up, Cityscape New York. There's a flat tire in this. What do you make of that?
There's interesting tactics that can be used with the flat tire. I'll just leave it at that. I don't like the flat tire, but I don't use the flat tire offensively. I use it defensively. So we'll see how it plays.
I like it. Last words from Ben Shuilong. Respectable third place. You've been getting better and better at Country Rally. The question remains, Ben, when are you going to take that top spot on Country Rally?
I don't know. I got no crashes today. So that's the first. So
well,
who knows? Maybe zone one.
That streak is going to continue here in Cityscape New York. See if we can have a crashless evening for Ben Shuilong. Thanks, Ben. It's good to see you getting better at Country Rally and moving up there. We're all cheering for you. Once more, we've got the scoreboard to show you with 40 seconds to go. Right up there, you can see Tim is currently leading with 105 points. But that is prior to any bonus points being added. Peter in second place, Quinton in third, Ben fourth, Casey in fifth. He was moving around a lot there. That crash took a lot out of him. But Cityscape New York coming up, longest race of the day, biggest scoring multiplier of the day as well. And now it's time to get down to business as we watch the racers on the start line get ready for more here in Cityscape New York. I'm looking for an early flat tire here. I think if a team can just work together, get a flat tire, once you get up to speed, like right here, it would just demoralize half the field. But I think everybody's still looking. Paula's looking good in there with an early start. As Christian, Nigel move further back. Looks like Nigel is still searching for his legs, but perhaps Nigel's happy to stay with the Butt Patrol. He's found his herd of sheep here that he's going to try and maneuver around. As he's got Ryan, he's got Robert. As Ryan is in the old jersey, he's in the Team Monica Team League jersey here. Fascinating to see the old kits being brought out. As Peter Castro, Ben Shuilong is on the front. I remind you, the last time that Peter Castro raced a low-skill event, he beat the competition by over a minute solo. I think he'll be looking to doing something similar here, and all the other racers are going to keep an eye on him. But in the race, though, you've got one quantum shift and one flat tire. It's going to be interesting to see how they get utilized, because they're major power-ups, but the flat tire seems to slow everybody else down. The quantum shift, you already have to be in a position, so it's not like wind at your back to change a howling headwind into a tailwind, or razor's edge to double down on an attack. No. Here, you really gotta use your teammates. And everyone has got teammates in there today, except for Paula. She's missing out a bit. She's got Ryan further down, but Vibeke, Beth, I believe they're racing the next one, so they're splitting up their numbers. Team X have got Christian Weidman. They've got Casey Shum. And you've just seen Peter, Ben Shuilong, Nigel enjoying the Butt Patrol further back, chasing cars. And then you've got Team Cycling Hub. You've got Tim, Timothy, and Quinton Molyneux in this one. This race is going to be fireworks, but it's going to take a bit to wind up to it. Casey is just casing the front of the group here, just looking around, not wanting to get anyone get away. He is sitting at 600 equalized watts here, and he's slowly splitting up the group. So if you're not with him here, we've seen this strategy before from Casey. He goes to the front and gradually just ups the pace, and he rides the other riders off his wheel. As Tim sits second place on him right now as we watch Christian Weidman coming to the front. So these are the two racers that are now racing in this race amongst other racers. You can see their respective positions. You've got Tim on the right. He's sitting third wheel. Then you've got, we got a flat tire. There was a flat tire being popped there. Second one from Casey. So two being used back to back. And the net result, nothing major yet, but it's starting to increase. If we can get that up on the replay and just watch how it unfolded, how it affected the racing there as a flat tire gets used early on. So the group is going around Monument Hall. I think we're into a tailwind as Paula uses hers and she goes on to the breakaway here. So if we can scratch the replay and come back to the racing, because while that happens, Paula has gone on to the attack. 195. Excellently used flat tire. She was winding it up, and as she got to her max speed, she used the flat tire. But Rig Woods this time around goes, "No, you know what? My turn. Everybody, flat tire," but not quite the same momentum, and the racing is still very open. But what we can see is that the equalized heart rates are high already. We've yet to complete one lap of Cityscape New York, but the heart rates, 183, 189, 193 for Christian Whiteman as we're on with Timothy Tamont, who looks like a totally new person without the mustache. So if you've got a better nickname for the mustache man, hit it up in the Mixer chat right now, as that has not been seen. Quentin Molyneux, Peter Castro here being caught off guard. Second in the racing coming into this. Quentin was up there as well. And the power-ups, the flat tires, have really broken the peloton apart. Timothy and Quentin further down. Peter sitting in here, searching for the draft, searching for shelter in the wind. He finds it with two Cycling Hub members. But what do? Because Peter is second on the standings coming into this. And Quentin was up there as well. You don't want to bring Peter back, but you want to try and get points. We look at Quentin. He is happy just to sit in. He's not doing anything. He waves, goes, "This is all fine." And Peter is just not going around. Peter's saying, "You know what? If this is how it's going to be, if we're going to go down, we go down on the same ship." And I'm not sure what's happening here as the two racers. I'm not sure. I've got Quentin. I think he wants maybe to do audio. Let's try and see if we can hear Quentin. What's happening, Quentin?
Well, this is just a classic case of Contador versus Slack. We'll just play a little bit of poker.
Well, we'll see who ends up winning on that climb in the end, as Contador versus Slick, named by Quentin Molyneux, as they're taking on Armstrong and Ulrich for the look. I'm not sure who's going to give the other one come the end of the day. But coming through the mist, up the hill, I can't even remember what climb it was. But we see Quentin and Peter. What is happening there, if you're not used to watching cycling, is that I think Peter's saying, right, Quentin, you and I, we were both up in the podium prior to the racing. If you're not going to work to get back up, why would I? Interesting racing, very, very different. But at the end of the day, advantage goes to Cycling Hub, because they still have Tim Fulford up the front here, as there's a four-man group breaking away here. I gotta give it, Paula instigated this move. The way in which she used the flat tire power-up has been the most effective so far from what we can observe here in the commentary booth. And it's paying off, but she needs to let other riders take turns on the front as Casey comes on through. We're about to complete the first lap here of 4, and with the wind coming in here, changing direction, this is going to be a really, really tough race. This is going to sap some legs coming into the last race of the day, which is by no means an easy race on Saturn Circuit Complete. I think Casey is telling people to get out an echelon, but everyone is just happy to go in one long line. It's not easy. Let's see here. Casey's second wheel. What do you want to say to everybody, Casey?
Paula keeps riding the gate and throwing us in the gutter. It's 4 of us. Move 3 lanes over and let us all get a draft. Then we can work. Otherwise, she can pull all day long.
Oh, she heard you. Oh, never mind. She goes all the way to the other gate. You know what? Paula's playing check or playing chess while the rest of you are playing. I can't even. I'm just too good to watch. Oh, this is what happens with physical equalization. As a power-up from Peter, Kastrup gets deployed. So all the way at the back, flat tire gets used. And this is a man who's definitely in the hurt locker now, as he has to move up. He finds Ben, he finds Christian. Now he's not too far back. And so he says, you know what? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Peter might be Contador and Quentin might be Slick, or other way around. I don't want to offend anybody. But regardless, Peter's currently dancing on the pedals, and it's up to see if the Andy Schleck lookalike can just get on with it, and there he goes. He's in there. He says, you know what? I can dance too, Jesper. I can dance too. As he is rocking. He stays with it. They've committed to it. And they're going to try and bridge across. Rick has been distanced, but this is tough. Can Quentin get up and go again? Peter hits the watts and then sits back down. He sits up. Monument Hall is on the right as Quentin and Peter have engaged in a dance-off. There we see who is going to be the one remaining victorious as they have gone from the group behind and they're bridging across. The effort required here from the two to get across to the front group is incredible. As you can see the suffering on Peter's face. He gets down. Flat tire from Quentin. Excellently timed here by Quentin Myers, but he hits the back of Paula. Oh, so close to being perfect. But basking in the glory of victory, of possible victory, he forgets to use the quantum shift. And Paula has been suffering. She's been on the front. And now can Quentin get across while Paula is fighting for a second wind as Peter Castro gets caught out. That flat tire from Quentin was excellent because Quentin was on his limit. He was feeling it. He was like, oh, I can feel the slight burn coming up my leg. I can feel the lungs filling up with lactic acid. Like, this is, well, I'm pretty sure it's not the lungs that fill up with lactic acid. CO2 is what I meant. The legs fill up with lactic acid, the lungs with CO2. And he's like, you know what? I can make this easier for myself. A flat tire. Everybody gets one. Peter used his to initiate the attack. And now Quentin used his to cement it. But once more, they find each other again. And Quentin, I think he's playing mind games. I think what we're seeing here is mental warfare between Peter and Quentin. Not only are their legs doing the talking, like, by the way, I do realize that Tim and Casey are off the front and working together, but I want to highlight the mental, like, you can tilt somebody. What Quentin is trying to do is get in Peter's head, and so not only does he win this race, but he wins the next race and the next one, as Ben Shuilong with his flat tire goes, hey guys, I'm here too, but then Christian Weidman counters it. Oh my goodness. This is the race of 1,000 needles. Every time you go, somebody just pricks your arm, and suddenly, like, the first 10 pricks, they don't hurt too much, but then you get to the 20, to the 50, to the 100, and you go, whew, I'm starting to run out of blood here. Now Tim and Casey remain on the front together. 2-man breakaway. These two will work together. There'll be no guttering until the end. Quentin has tried to bridge across, but the group behind with Ben, with Paula, with Peter, we watch how they unfold now as Christian Weidman gets back on terms. Nigel's done well for himself. Like, Nigel has stuck with the butt patrol further back. As we go back and have a look, he's at 172 equalized heart rate, and the picnic he's having here is working out so far. I think he's just, I'm not sure, Nigel, whether that's a dancing move or you're reeling somebody in. I hope for your sake it's the latter. As he stands up, Timothy Tumont, Nigel Doyle, with a calculated risk here, staying with the butts, hoping that the front group doesn't have the cooperation, and it's working out. I mean, Timothy, Nigel enjoying a pace. They're only 7 seconds back from this group, this chasing group. This could all come back together before the end of the racing, as the bots will continue at 3:44, and we'll see what the front riders can do as Quentin stands up once more. If we bring down the scoreboard, we haven't quite done that yet. We look. Tim is currently leading, but that is pending the bonus points. Casey has got a bit of an advantage here if it was to come down to a heads-up finish. As Casey has got the 16 bonus points you get from your preferred zone. Tim does not, but still, Tim is up there with a significant lead on Casey, and Casey would need to really pull one out of the back on Saturn's circuit complete. So Tim, at this point, will be happy just to trade turns and race for if it is worst scenario, it's still a second place. And coming into Saturn Circuit Complete, he sits in a very favorable position. But if there's a man who wants to shake things up, the Flying Dutchman, we know it. When the winds are high, the sails are set, and Peter Kastrup wants that sunset. But it's not easy. You can see the intensity on his face. But Paula is there once more. Velocity Vixen, she's gone through the Beth York Academy of the Rise and Rip Rides, and now she is flying that flag proudly atop of the mast as she goes toe-to-toe, one of the strongest racers on the platform. Not only that, she passes him on the inside and says, I'll work with you. I want to get back to the front group as well. As Quinten now has gone back to the bots. He's 5th place overall. The work he's done, it has worked so far on Peter. It's put Peter far off the back as he slows down Beatrice and also hits Nigel and Timothy. So the tea party here could come to an end if Quinten opts to do so, but it doesn't look like it. On the front, last we saw, Casey looked a bit tired, but may have recovered. Shake of the head. Monument Hall gets passed to the right. Next time we cross the finish line, I believe it will be the last lap of racing. Tim continues to rocket on the front, but the gap is still only 13 seconds. They cannot rest, and if anyone still has their powers remaining, I think Tim still has a flat tire, and if you save it all the way to the end, it's almost a guaranteed sprint victory unless other people also have theirs. But it's been a while since we've had a power-up, since we've had a flat tire, and you wonder who's still got theirs left. I imagine Tim still has his. I think Casey may have used his in the first lap of the racing. Oh, I'm not sure. He's trying to play poker here as he's not currently on the screen. But we'll see. Tim still has his. I think Nigel might still have his, so it really depends on who in the secondary positions are keeping an eye at the front group. But Peter and Paula are working together. Tim on the wheel here into the straight headwind is just rocking it. He's got the shoulders out, and they understand what they have to do here. Now, some of these people are going to be racing 2 zones today. We've got 2 zones here to give you today. Zone K, which you see now, and Zone L, which starts in about half an hour's time. So make sure to stick around. Maybe even follow the page if you do like it, if you want to see more of the racing. But 4 kilometers is all that remains here now in Cityscape, New York. Tim upping the pace. I do wonder if the chasing group can get back. It really comes down to the mood of Peter Kastrup. He is the shark in the water here. He is usually quite strong, but you can see the visible pain on his face. Most of the time, that charade does not break. That mask is impenetrable. But today, not only has Tim and Casey put him in the hurt locker, Paula, Velocity Vixen, breakout performance here. She played with it. She was up there. She had a good chance, what we saw on Tuesday. But now she's back for more here in the racing as Paula is in there. Ben further down as he races up. Quinten, Nigel. We look at the bot patrol. They've got some important points to play for here, as well as they've got to make sure that they get back. I love Nigel. It's always awesome to have Nigel in the stream. Nigel, if you want to see more of Nigel, he'll be back tonight as well for Zone T. So if you're in Europe, stay up. If you are in Americas, have fun watching and racing with Nigel later on tonight. Quinten, Timothy, Team Cycling up further down, Christian Weidman as well. But how long will this corporation work? Because at one point or another, one of these two will have to shake things up as they can't go on forever. They might just wait for a sprint finish, but they understand the threat that is behind because Casey and Peter are still fighting for second place. If Casey takes the win here, he sits in second place, and with this bonus point, it is close. Now, if we add the bonus points to Casey's result currently, he sits at 168. You add 16 points on top of that. You've got a lot of points, 184 I think it is. And so he's within distance of Tim here. He's got a good chance of taking over, but Tim knows this. I think Tim is just saving energy. As you can see them both on the screen now. Casey on the left, Tim on the right. This is a position when Tim usually finds himself in this position, he executes quite well. So does Casey, but usually that 99%, like that just top percentile, you get Tim as Casey I'm not sure what's happening. I'm getting so thrown off. There's so much good racing, but it's so tense. I mean, you can just tell it's tense. As we can see, the two racers are now side by side. 186, 182 equalized heart rate. 2.5 kilometers remain as they are up there. Further back down, Peter Castro is not going to be making it back up to that front group. He is settling himself down here, but Paula wants to shake things up. She's not happy with the status quo because she knows that the group behind could come back. They could take valuable points. She sits in second place and she wants something out of this. She's worked hard. She's at 194 equalized heart rate. She's done her homework. She's showed up and she's definitely brought a number 2 pencil here, number 2 pen, whatever they're called, and she's ready because she's passing this test currently. She is just showing the rest. She was on the front. I wonder what could have been here for Paula as she got distanced by the top 2 riders. She's got a really good performance here with Ben and Peter, the 2 CCC riders, just sticking in. Ben further up to the left, but Casey with corner caper here to come on through. So a defensive corner caper to get a bit of rest, just saying I'll work with you. Oh, sorry, corner caper, quantum shift. I don't know what. I had the shake of the head in disapproval of my executive producer here because he said, "What are you talking about?" I got so caught off by the corner caper animation that we saw in Country Rally. I still haven't quite processed it. But quantum shift is the power up that was being used as a just as a defensive power-up, using it, making sure you get the ultimate draft, because I think Casey understands what he's up against here with Tim Fulford in the sprint. It's going to be an uphill battle. Anything is possible. Anyone who wants it more can take it, but it's going to be a tough ask as 1.4 kilometers remain as we can get the side-by-side shot up here of the 2 riders as they get ready. Now, we're going to see a cooperation until the end. The 2 riders will work together all the way through, but they will come an end. There will come an end to this partnership. At some point or another, they're going to break things up here. 1 kilometer. La Flamme Rouge, the last kilometer. Who will take this very prestigious win on Cityscape New York with a 7 kilometers an hour wind, and the finishing direction looks like to be a headwind. So it'll be I think the last one to go has got a good chance here. But the flat tire power-up still looms large from Tim Fulford as we see side by side. I think Tim's getting ready. There it is. There's a flat tire from Timothy further back. So the teamwork from the riders, Timothy to Mont in the chasing group. And Tim knows it's coming. And so he can execute. And Casey just sits in. He knows what he has to do now. And I think Tim will try and use his the other way. So Timothy gets a gap. He's catching up. Nigel with his flat tire. So the last 500 meters are going to be some of the longest 500 meters of your life. Paul is still 197, but side by side, Tim, he'd been saving that power up. He knew if he kept the flat tire until the end, there was no beating him in the sprint, and he does go on to take the win here. Further back, the fight continues as well. As you can see, Casey defeated, down but not out. There's plenty of racing left, but Tim looks solid. First race back in a while for Tim Fulford, but he is going to sit at 199.5 points. 2 victories here, back-to-back, Country Rally and Cityscape New York. He is on a quest. He's on a hunt for points as he wants to move up the rankings. 194 equalized heart rate. He was pushed to the limit as he crosses over the finish line here on New York. Further back, Casey Shum. He fought greatly in the battles of Cityscape New York. He will come over the line with a proud second place. Third place, Peter Castro. He's not going to quite bridge the gap all the way to the front too, but he got close in the end. And the Flying Dutchman is going to take a 3rd place finish with Ben Shuilong taking 3rd. Nigel Doyle will go down in 6th place, beating the Cycling Hub riders to the end. Quentin, Timothy, Christian, they've all got positions to fight for us into the headwind. Christian Weidman is coming close here, and Quentin knows it, but it will be Quentin, then in front of Christian, then Timothy Termont. Good racing all around. That was a bit of a slugfest. That was a bit of, treading in mud, knowing the length of the racing, the level of the wind, the power-ups. It was a race of Who wanted it more? Who can get down and dirty when need to be? And that's what we saw in that one, as Tim with the power combination. Good teamwork. Having Timothy Timont use his power first, get the gap, and then knowing, okay, I don't even need my own power up. He uses it to let Timothy and Quentin get an advantage, but Tim does end up taking the victory here on Cityscape New York. He's got over a 38 point gap down to second place. Dominant so far, Tim. Congratulations. Talk me through that race, because that looked like one of the tougher ones.
Yeah, that's horrible. Every time you see that spiky thing, you just got to put a sprint in to get the speed up as quick as possible again. But once everyone started firing them after the second lap, it was just me and Casey. And I mean, I haven't spoken to him, but it was just kind of like, I'll do one straight, you do the next straight. But well, within 1K to go, it's kind of all bets off. Timothy said he was going to use it, so I ramped it, and then looked like Peter came back strong, but I managed to hold it in the end.
38 points is your lead to Peter and downwards. I mean, we haven't seen this big of a lead in a while. Is it good to be back?
I mean, what is it? A 2.5 multiplier. Anything can happen. 4 laps, wind, corners to crash on. It's got everything. So we'll just have some fun.
On that note, let's talk to somebody about having fun. Peter Castro, that last race, it looked tough. We see the highlight of you on the screen. It's been a while since we've seen you in a hurt locker like that. What happened from your perspective?
I was in the front group, a bit at the tail of it. And Quentin was in front of me, and they were riding away in front, and Quentin started blocking me. And I just couldn't get past him, and I didn't want to use my quantum thing. And so I stayed behind. And those flat tires, that really takes it out on you. It's terrible. We should ban it immediately. Before Zone L even. Oh, man.
Oh, you gotta love that, Peter. I'll let you rest up. Final word of the day for third place on the Omnium. Casey, that last race, it looked like you had fun. You were still animated. You were still your usual self. Was it good to be off the front?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's always fun working with Tim. Tim and I are always on the same page. We're actually chatting right now in Facebook Messenger. Like, we don't need to talk to know what's going on, and we made the move. We stuck with it. I knew he had the power up to beat me, so honestly, I was going to send him – I was going to go for it at the end kind of early, right before he went, but I knew he'd come back on me just to have fun. Like, you get to the end and you know you got it locked up with somebody like Tim, you just have some fun.
That does seem to be the story of the day, having fun. I mean, it looked like good fun. Now we get ready for Saturn Circuit Complete. The last race here in Zone K before Zone L will start after this. Good luck, Casey. Good luck, Peter. Good luck, Tim. And everybody else in the racing. If you did just hear a noise while Casey's interview, I just flipped my notebook accidentally, so sorry for that. Peter is up against it, but the scoreboard here is close. I mean, Peter second, 161, and now we watch how it unfolds. There's no flat tire in this one, so Peter can be happy with how that is going. I don't think he'll have his wish complied with before Zone L that the flat tire should be banned. But in this race, you've got wind once more. 4 laps of Saturn, weight lifted, and wind at your back as Peter further back down. Quentin Molyneux, he did take after the shenanigans with the Contador versus Select towards the end, he got a bit of a rest, and now he gets ready as he needs the points. He wants to move on up as Tim with 274.5 points here. He's on pace of breaking the points gathered record in the CVRcade World Cup. Further down, Timothy Timont. I think for him, it's a case of sitting in, trying to just put in a good result as possible, but know that Zone L is coming up after this, and you may want to look to get some points in that one, as some of these riders will be tired as they go for more. Casey in third place here in the green. He gets ready. He's fighting for his second spot. Him and Quinton are separated by just about 1 point. Currently, the scoreboard in third place. If we can just bring it up here, you'll see Casey, Peter separated by 4.5. But Quinton, Casey, and Peter, if everything plays out the way it can do, they could be separated by 1 point come the end. Now, Casey does have the advantage of preferred zone, so 16 points get added. So Peter and Quinton need to really give it to him here to take him out of the standings, if that is what they're trying to do. As we're coming in here to the tight spot on the left, we watch what Quinton slows down here to allow Tim to come on through. He doesn't want Tim to crash due to him, so they're both very close of overlapping wheels, but they've been in this position before. 3-man break off the front. Casey third, Quinton second, Tim in first here. As Zone K is coming to a conclusion on Saturn Circuit Complete. Quinton trying to force a mistake out of Casey, and this time Casey won't fall for it, but we're getting deja vu. We're seeing vibes of Country Rally as Tim attacks on the incline here out on into space, as Quinton dancing on the pedals, the hair just flying left and right over the face as the suffering is starting to hit on through. Ben Shuilong is back in the broadcast after a short mechanical in the last race, but he's going to want to win this one because he's currently 5th. He's got a chance to move up in 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and those points for the seeding. Very, very crucial here as the first lap on Saturn Circuit Complete is coming to an end. With the wind, you've got to be careful here. It is a straight-on headwind at the finish line. That makes it even tougher as they are going to have to fight on through. Tim Fulford has left his teammate Quinton Molyneux behind, and now he's just digging in to try and get away. 5.8 kilometers remain here in Zone K. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to click that follow button down below. If you want to see more action like this, make sure as well to follow us over on Facebook at CVRcade. And if you want to engage with the community, the place to be is CVRcade Riders. That's where all the talks, all the chat, post, and pre-race is happening. As Peter passes Casey, passes Quinton. These are the 3 riders who are fighting for the second spot on the podium. Peter and Quinton need to finish ahead of Casey here to make sure that those 16 bonus points don't end up mattering that much in the end, as we see the back end camera shot. Tim continues to ride away on the front. 500 equalized watts. He's really been putting in a just enormous performance here today to break at to be at his level and still have a breakout performance like this is phenomenal, as he's just applying the power and the pressure in the right places. Peter gasping for air, fighting for every inch as they realize there's more racing after this. I know these racers, they spoke to me, Jesper, I'm down for the double. I want to stream, but I want to stream K, I want to stream L. Now, Casey is only doing K, I believe, so we'll see if he can empty the tank here. He has a bit of an advantage over the rest, not only because of the preferred zone, but because he knows that they might start thinking about the next zone. They might start thinking about the next 4 races that they're going to have to do. And we'll see if he can use that to his advantage as our group up here now. These 3 riders coming to a tight left-hand turn again as the wind changes direction. Almost halfway through the racing here. Next time we come to the finish line, there'll be 2 laps remaining. Tim comes onto the spiral. He changes into the wind here, 30 kilometers an hour. He stands up and he just wants to get over this hill. He wants to move on over and fight on through and finish what he started. When you add up all the bonus points, I think this could be one of the highest scoring omniums for Tim here, as he's at 274.5 points currently. We've got Peter Kastrup in hot pursuit of Tim Fulford. He really wants a stage win here. He won the first stage of the day, but he struggled in the second. He struggled in the third. How will he perform here in the 4th as the yellow bumblebee moves on through? He can see Tim up the road. Only 5 seconds. He's got an alternative way of taking this Frank Garcia corner. Most people, they either stay in the middle and slow down, or some they move 2 lanes over to the right and kind of just salsa through the corner. Peter goes all the way to the right, slices right through it like it was pepperoni pizza, and now we'll see if he can catch back up to Tim Fulford. 5 seconds is the gap He's got a chance here. He's got a legitimate chance to get back up. Wind at your back and weight lifted are the powers possible here. As currently, this is taking a toll on Casey Shum. He can't quite follow the wheel of Peter Kastrup, but he's got to fight off Quinten behind him because currently he's still second with the bonus points. But if Quinten Molyneux, Ben Schueling, if anyone else catches him, he will move one spot down the podium. He'll finish third, and Peter will end up taking second on the Omnium. So they're fighting for the points, but they're also fighting for the bragging rights. When they get off the bike, they want to say, you know what? I got this finish. I got this podium spot. I fought for it. I used my brains, my bronze, everything I've got, but it takes a bit of power. Power up from Casey being used here. Wind at his back. This is desperation station from Casey as he understands the threat that is coming from behind. 187 equalized heart rate as he catches back up to Peter. But Ben Shuilong, he's been getting better and better and better. Country Rally, he looked good. Saturn Circuit complete. He passes Quinten here. And so this is good for Casey. This means he doesn't have to worry about moving down on the podium. But Quinten could fall further down. Good racing from Ben though in fourth. In his preferred zone, so excuse me, Ben is also a threat. Ben gets 16 bonus points. That puts him at 212 points currently. So if they catch Casey, Peter and Ben, the two teammates, they've got a chance of taking a heist, taking a coup at the podium. But they've got to fight this man. Casey Shum is just relentless on the front. He worked his butt off in Cityscape, New York. And now once again, you can see him hunched over the handlebars, trying to demoralize Peter and Ben, and just try and apply some pressure. Now, Zone L starts in 14 minutes. So if you're either racing, or if you're racing and you're anticipating and excited to watch the racing for Zone L, well, just know it starts in 14 minutes. So make a mental note, 14 minutes. If you're a viewer, you're watching the racing end here, but then in 14 minutes time, we have another hour of amazing, engaging, fun racing. Today, we're focusing on wind. It's Hurricane Kate today, and we're seeing the victims that it's creating. As Tim actually crashes. Tim, in the lead, makes a mental mistake in the front corner. Just gets it a bit wrong. Now forced to use wind at his back. His lead is significant enough that it may not end up mattering. But 3 seconds down to Peter. This is when the sharks can smell blood in the water. This is where they go into their feeding frenzy. And Peter gets ready. Last lap here. Very valuable points up for grabs. If Tim was to have a meltdown here, he could get off the podium, considering that Casey, Ben have got bonus points, but it would take a blow up of magical proportions, but I don't think we'll see that. 3 seconds is the gap. The Flying Dutchman on the left, Tim Fulford the Magician on the right, as we see what can he do. 700 equalized. What Tim accelerates. He knows what he's got to do. Can I put pressure on Peter? Can I put him in the hurt locker? Because Peter has left Casey in third place. His shoulders are hanging, head is down, and he's got to be careful here because Ben Shuilong is not too far down, and Ben knows this as well. Ben knows if he can just catch Casey, if he can dig deep, he will move up onto third place. One more spot up in the racing, one more spot you catch, and you move on to the podium. You've got to unleash everything you got to try and just get that one spot more. As 1 kilometer remain. It's unlike Tim to make a mistake like that, to crash in the corner while having the lead, but his lead was so significant. But until now, wind at the back from Peter. Tim has already used his. As you can see, Peter spinning it up with the wind at his back. He gets ready. How will this change the gap? 5 seconds, 4 seconds, last 900 meters. We've got the turn to the left, but wind at the back is gone. Not sure what position the wind is coming here. I think he was using it on a tailwind section, so you're not getting the optimal performance out of that power up. But he is making sure Casey is not coming back because he is just 6 seconds. You can see him in the rear view mirror. They're in ones and ones and ones. The wind is obliterating the field today, and they're all stuck in quicksand. They're trying to get away. They're dancing in place. as Tim stands up once more time on this hill. He gets ready to deploy the power. Weight lifted 30 kilograms lighter here from Tim as he just wants this climb over with as he pushes on through. 5 seconds is still the gap, but last time we did see Tim make a mistake. We did see Tim fall down. Currently, Casey is still in second place. He's got second place secured despite Peter above him on the standings. Casey does have the 16 bonus points. Kinjol gets passed or gets lapped by Tim. Will he make the same mistake? This time he brakes to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Rick has gone down. And what says Kinjol actually goes, oh, remember me? I'm still here, as she somehow gets past Tim on the inside. But Tim Fulford wins the third consecutive stage of the day and also wins the Omnium. Now, Peter Kastrup in second place can be proud with that one as he finishes off third place on the podium. Quick and on to the next one, Zone L. Ben Shuey along further down, Casey Shum also. Great racing. He secures his second place, takes the points away. Job well done. On to the next ones. Ben Shuey along ever so close up there with Peter. What could have been, they know. Now Quentin also, you can be happy about that one. Team effort. You can see the effort that's written on his face as we get ready for Zone L. Nigel Doyle, great racing from him today. He gets ready for more racing. He shakes his head. You know what, Nigel? It's always great racing when you're in here. Zone T tonight, he's saying, set your alarm, get ready. As more racing continues, Timothy Tamont as well. That concludes Zone K with this highlight, and now Zone L begins. More racing coming up live here on your television, your mobile phone, your computer, wherever you're watching this, as we get Beth York in the broadcast, we get Sebastian Kuhn in the broadcast, and I believe we also get Vibeke Bertram joining into the broadcast. But Tim Fulford taking the third consecutive victory of the stage of the day, also winning the Omnium, not even in question. So Peter obliterating the field on Tuesday, Zone L. Tim in Zone K says, whatever you do, Peter, I can do one better, as he goes on to win Saturn. Congratulations, Tim. We've got 9 minutes until Zone L begins, but 3 in a row. What was the determining factor behind the dominance today from you?
Had to have a little bit of teamwork. Casey and I work well together. Probably having a rest for the last couple of days, and just wanting to win, I think.
Now, next race here, you come up against some fresher legs. Sebastian joins, Vibeke joins, Beth joins. Do you think that's going to have an impact on the racing?
Yeah, no doubt. Bringing some fresh legs in is going to hurt, but I think I might be joining the bot patrol on New York. Just seeing what we can do on the other ones, really. But it's been a good set. It's been a tough set. Enjoyed the wind. That makes you have to think a bit more. Other than that, yeah, let's go again.
I like it. I like the spirit. We go once more, Zone L. Peter, ever so close in that last race. You got really close within Tim when he crashed at the top. Was there ever a point where you thought, you know what, I can get back. I can get back onto his wheel?
Never. Never. I think he could have crashed 10 times. I still have caught him, so kudos to him. So before I was saying we should ban the power up, the flat tire, I think we should ban Tim as well. Oh man.
Well, we go back to Tuesday, Peter. Peter, you were the one dishing out the pain. Like, there were riders going to sleep on Tuesday evening, having nightmares of what you did to them on Rocky Mountains. What's it like to be on the receiving end of that dishing out?
Oh, no, it's good. I always enjoy watching Tim race. He's very strong. He's very smart. He knows those tracks inside out. So yeah, I really enjoy it when he is in front and gives us all a lesson in how to race on K. So yeah, no, I love it.
I like it as well. Thank you, Peter. I'll let you get ready for doing the back-to-back racing. I want to get a last word from Zone K from Quentin Molyneux, because that looked like a tough one. Now, last week, Quentin, following the end of Zone K, or Tuesday that was, you had to, unfortunately, abandon the stream. How are we looking today? Are we doing back-to-back?
We're doing back-to-back, yeah. Feeling good. Well, feeling good.
Famous last words, but I do like it. Good luck, Quentin. I'm just making sure you're here. Now, we've got a few riders as we watch the final highlights joining in. I'm not sure if the audio does work, but I would love to hear for the first time in the broadcast from the Velocity Vixen, Vibeke Bertram. Vibeke, are you able to hear me? Oh, unfortunately, she is not. But she will be joining us in today for the second time now, but the first time for real, for hopefully all the way through, as the Velocity Vixen are ready. So what you're about to watch is the second zone of racing today. So because the CVRcade World Cup is international, we try and appease every zone there is, or every every region of the world, or every continent. Now, Zone K fits some people's schedule. Maybe they get home from work, or they're in America, they've got their lunch break. Now, Zone L is later in the day, and the racing will begin in 5 minutes time. I do think we've got Beth York as well, my co-commentator, joining into the broadcast. She does not quite yet, but we do have Sebastian Kuhn. Sebastian of Team Cognition. Seb, you've been racing well. Few mistakes have been happening. Is today the day where it all goes flawlessly?
I don't know. The first race is crazy. I rode a few times, and I think I'm drunk. Everything is moving and flashing, and I completely lost orientation. It's also very short. You don't see where the finish is. It's crazy.
I like it. I love it, Seb. Now, Cognition have been doing very well in Zone T. You're missing some support out here today. On your own, are you able to get the last few points and move up the standings on the cycle data leaderboards?
I will try to do my best. As an underdog, maybe that's an advantage with the other team. Nobody takes me serious.
I like the fighting talk. Thank you, Sebastian, as we get ready for more racing. I gotta say, as we see the highlight once more, Electric Rush is an awesome course. Like, it's really been one of the first courses that I've really, well, first course that really blew everybody's mind, I think, was Fantastic Alien Sea. By many, it's considered one of their favorite courses. And now, Electric Rush, with all the animations, with all the moving parts, it's really taking the CVRcade tracks to the next level. We've only seen no skill events except for that one day that Beth and I were both together in the Mixer studio racing live. I'm very interested to see how the racing will unfold when we go back and we go forward and bring this in as a medium skill event, and we see what the crashing can be like. Because as somebody who's crashed a few times on this course, I can tell you it changes the racing up. I see Jonathan Heron, as Homer Thompson very nicely reached out to let me know that that's how you pronounce his name. Now, I still may be mispronouncing it, and if that's the case, I apologize, but it's good to see Jonathan Heron get back into the racing as the riders are getting ready. Nigel's just raced the first race as 3 minutes remain. But what have you thought so far of the racing? What have you thought? Let us know in the Mixer chat. You've seen Zone K. We get ready for Zone L now. Later on tonight as well, we have Zone T that will take place with the Americans, where you got Moti P. Kellner, you've got Jennifer Garcia, Aaron Starlin. That if you are following us on the CVRcade Facebook group, you would have seen Aaron completely shaking the world. I mean, on the Richter scale, that's definitely going to be counted. And yeah, he's going to be back tonight, so more awesomeness in that department, as he also gets joined by Luis Sober and niece, Nigel Doyle, as you saw, very animated in the stream, good friend of the show. I think Kale Laguna will be back, and Beth York will be commentating the racing. So make sure to either set an alarm or click follow down below as the racers. It's been a while since we've had this much of a gap between the two zones. Like, we usually have like 30 seconds. It's like house on fire, kitchen on fire. They're like, oh my god, I gotta make it. But today they get time to rest up, maybe recuperate their thoughts and get set, because at this point they've already raced once and they go again in a second. As we see the racing now, highlights on the screen: Cityscape New York, finishing up with Peter Castro. I really like the addition that we're seeing of the mid-race audio check-ins, because Quinton saying it's Andy Schleck versus Contador, really awesome to get that sort of insight. Now I see Beth is just getting ready to rock and roll. I'm wondering if she's available for a quick word. Beth, 1 minute 30 remains. Did you have a chance to see what Paula did on Cityscape New York?
I saw parts of it, and I was just a little bit distracted. But I did message her at one point, going, "Give someone else a turn on the pole on the front." I saw Casey trying to tell her to fly over. So, yes.
I'm glad you tried to reach out. You saw even Casey try to support with some in-race strategy, but to even be in that point, Beth, is awesome. Now it's your turn to race. How are you feeling today?
I'm pretty excited. I was hoping to do back-to-back zones. Life got in the way, as it often does. So it's nice to have slightly fresher legs with some of these ringers. So we'll see if that actually gives me any benefit, or if they're just getting started, because we know they can go back-to-back pretty well. So it should be very fun racing, and hopefully my, quote, rested legs give me something here.
Well, I like it. 25 seconds to go. Good luck, Beth, and your rested legs. I do like, before we started racing today, there's a few people going, "Oh, I'm ill, Jesper, I'm ill." You gotta get those pre-race excuses in. Regardless, if you're ill, yes, it's okay. But it's just so typical cyclists going, "Oh, yeah, I knew it. I knew it." But here we go. Zone L begins now. We got the racing underway. We got a packed field today with Vibeke Bertram of Velocity Vixen in the broadcast. Awesome to see a fellow Dane taking to the start line here as we watch the racing unfold. Last time on this course, it was Peter Kastrup who went on to win with a long-range attack. Will he make it 2 for 2? Kim Fairchild also in here racing. Ben Shuilong is in here. He's going to want to do 2 zones back-to-back here as we see the racing unfolding in front of us. Ben Shuilong is in the broadcast. I'm always looking towards the wheels. I'm always looking at his watch in the background, trying to understand exactly what is there, because everybody is streaming from their home, from different places, and you can see a lot about their houses from these broadcasts and trying to understand more about them as racers and riders. Tim Fulford, the winner of the previous zone, winning 3 stages back to back to back. Will he be able to take it in here in this zone? It's going to be some tired legs with the addition of Vibeke, Sebastian, Beth, fresh legs. Jonathan Heron in here as well, as he just missed the early start. He is down in 13th place. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds, particularly looking towards Cityscape New York, because the power-ups are going to change everything. I think Tim is cramping out. I'm not sure what's what? I think Tim is either cramping up or just needing some mid-race yoga. So it seems to be a bit of a... That looks rough. That does not look good. Maybe somebody get a medic to the Cycling Hub estate, as Tim Fulford is feeling some things there as he accelerates back in. So from stretching his legs, being forced to use a comeback kit to get back in. CVRcade Racing, physically equalized, can be quite demanding as we stay with Tim here for the time being, as he's still not back in the draft. He's still flirting with it. You go on board, he has to sprint ever so often. Now, that's got to sap some out of the legs. So he goes on the front, and he might go right back on through. Peter Castro won the last zone here. Won the last electric rush race in Zone K. Zone L, new race, new me, or will it be? As we watch Peter Castro, the Flying Dutchman, navigate on through. As we see more here. It really looks like Tim is having a bit of an issue, as he might be advised to actually get off the bike here. As he looks to be in a lot of pain. He's feeling a cramp or something in his left leg. He's raced really hard in the last race. Maybe being dehydrated, the muscles cramp up, and you may look to see. But that might open the door as well. We look around. Quinton is off the back. Timothy seems to be off the back as well. So Cycling Hub all around struggling a tiny bit. Sebastian Kuhn is in here. He is looking calm and composed. He's just swerving left and right. It's just like a fish in water. He's happy where he is, feeling good as a rider moves on to the left. That is Beth with a long-range attack. What is she thinking? This is a brilliant move if it works out. She saw what Peter did in the previous race. But to actually pull this off, you're going to be in a world of hurt now, as she knows what she signed up for. 300 meters. Come on, Beth, you got to finish it off. But there goes the bazooka. That is Peter Kastrup. This man was like shot out of a cannon. And he is going to be close, actually. Let's not call it early. He's going to get caught on the line. Christian Weidman, look at his face. Oh, Peter cannot believe it. Oh, my goodness. Never count your chickens before they hatch. Peter Kastrup follows the brilliant attack of Beth York. Even I thought, here we go again. Bazooka, second time around. He's got it. But no, as the sprint comes closer and closer to the finish line, Christian Weidman takes the win with Ryan Goldenberg moving on through. There goes Beth. She knows she's been caught, but here comes Peter Kastrup. 1,500 equalized watts. He pushes on through. He sits down. He sees the gap. 100 meters remain. 800 equalized. He thinks he's got it. He thinks he's got it. And on the finish line. Oh my goodness, Peter. Can you believe it?
That's true, so I have to believe it. I can see it on screen. Third place. I knew I was going too early. But depending on the position you are in, at a certain point you just have to go to get most of the draft. And you can wait, but then you won't win at all. So it's a bit of a gamble. In this one, I didn't succeed, but it's okay. Third place is fine.
Now, Peter, that was great racing, but your reaction as you crossed the finish line is priceless. Thank you very much for that. I'll let you get ready here for Country Rally, because Tim, what was that? Mid-race, what?
I started like getting funny cramps on the outside of my left knee, so I thought I've got 107% draft. I need about 120 equalised watts. So let's try and stretch it out. So I did that, but in doing so, I don't often cycle like a Buddha, so I got stomach cramp as well. But we stayed in there. We made it look funny, I suppose. Hopefully we sorted it out, but we'll see.
I love it. In fixing one issue, you incurred another. So
yeah, very much so. It was exactly that.
Well, let's get ready to see more racing. Hopefully it's all sort of a country rally where you did well. All considered, 5th place is very impressive in that race. Ryan getting 2nd, Beth down in 5th. Now, Ben Shuilong, I think all eyes are upon you, because we're watching Country Rally once more. Every time we come to you before the race, you're like, oh, I'm getting better at Country Rally. I'm moving on up. Is this the day you win Country Rally?
Yes. Come on. We'll see. We'll see. I got no crashes in the entire Omnium. Just been, which is definitely a first. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think, you know, if you focus and you're careful not to crash, you know, you usually do quite well in this race. It doesn't guarantee a win, but you know, it's the start. So,
if there's one way to jinx yourself, it's prior to the most technical race of the day, go, hey guys, I haven't crashed today. But Ben, I think when I speak for the behalf of the entire Mixer chat and the crowd, we believe in you, Ben. Today is the day. Just gotta bring it your A game. Good luck, Ben, as we look around. Of course, the racing remains on the frontier. We've got the scoreboard up here to my right. As you can see, Christian Weidman. What a race. What a sprint from him and Ryan. Today, unfortunately, we don't have Ryan in the broadcast, so we can't get his take on it. But wow. I mean, to get that close to getting on in, as I just see in the back of my eye, I see, let's see if we can get that on the broadcast. We got a little support there. Now, Ben Shuilong has got a little cheerleader in the background, and when you've got the support of the family, not only do you bring yourself, there we go, cheerleader of the day, goes to Ben Shuilong's family. There you go. The support, unreal. CVRcade, all for the family as the racing begins. Ben just tightening up the wrist. I'm not sure how the Apple Watch is going to help you in the racing, but perhaps that is the secret sauce of Sebastian Kuhn. He was like a fish in water in the last one, but how will he perform in this race? As off the front, him and Ryan go early. 2.5 score multiplier in this one as we now watch the racing get underway. Wind at their back for Ryan Goldenberg. Clever move from him here to get out of the way. We've seen this before from the Velocity Vixens. They like to use their power-ups early, and they've done it to great success. As Sebastian with corner caper. Beth, ooh, oh no! Oh, she keeps that was close. She crashes on down. Quinton gets on through safely. What happened there to Beth was that she was moving left. She got lucky once. She gets very lucky. So here she moves left. She's at a high speed. 45 kilometers an hour is pushing it. She can move left once, but once more before the turn finishes is what takes her down as Ryan gets passed by Quinton Molinez. He left a few points up for grabs in Electric Rush, but it's not too late in this one. But we look at preferred zone riders. Viveka Bertram in the broadcast today. She's got this as her preferred zone. She's got the matching kit as well. Velocity Vixen. Awesome to see. Getting those bonus points as the Dane rides on through. She got a bit of a rocky start here, but I'm sure she can make it up. And she's got her eyes on the next racing ahead as well. Oh, she goes down. You can see she realizes that she's gone down as well. That was a mistake that could have been avoided. Ben Shuilong, he brought out the cheerleader for this one. Behind him, they're saying, give me a B, give me an E. And now we'll see if they'll be able to give him an N come the finish line. As Sebastian Kuhn, with the wind out his back, says time to get serious. Good performance in the first stage. Here in the second one, we haven't seen that much of him in the country rally and the high skill courses, but here he's doing well. But he's being chased by Tim Fulford, by Quinton Molinez, and Tim Fulford with a stomach cramp is and also a leg cramp is performing very well here in country rally. And I think Cityscape New York is going to be the tell all whether or not they've got what it takes. As here, side by side, Sebastian Kuhn just getting a bit more airflow on through as Tim passes Barney the barn door. He's once again with Quinton Molinez. Those two, they're just synced up. They understand where to be on the course, be on the track, and they're moving synchronized. Kudos to Beth, though, to moving her way back up from an early crash. She's now back into 4th place, and with her fresh leg, she's pushing on through here. She's doing very well so far, considering the early crash. 188 is her equalized heart rate, and she's not too far back here from the 2 Cycling Hub riders, so she can reach out and touch them. And she's gaining a lot. She's, oh no, I spoke too soon. Oh, Beth, here it goes crashing down as the CCC patrol comes on through. Peter Kastrup at the back here, being led out with Ben and with Homer. Fantastic racing from the yellow jerseys here as tired Peter moves on through, wants to try and get maximum points, but the 3 yellow jersey riders here are just closing in on Team Cycling Hub. Homer is out here. He's wanting to help Ben, but crashing the birthday party so far is Team Cycling Hub and Cognition. Sebastian Kuhn saying, I'm out here on my own. They don't take me seriously. Well, watch now. He brings his A game, but he's at 196 equalized heart rate. This is a taxing effort. It is not an easy one as Ben further back into the headwind uses wind at his back. This is an opportunity, but once more, it looks like it could be a podium finish from everybody's favorite track builder creator in the community. As you can see, the blue and orange jerseys of Cycling Hub further up. Bringing down the scoreboard, Sebastian is leading at the top. Tim once more in 2nd place. Christian Weidman down in 9th, struggling a tiny bit here as Quinton Molinez gets past. So, not sure. It looks like he may just have blown up. That 90 equalized watts. There doesn't look to be much left from the Belgian of Team Cycling Hub. Back-to-back Omniums take a lot out of you. kudos, good sportsmanship to not block on your way out of the door. I tip my hat to you, Quinten. But what this does mean is that Ben officially slides once more into third spot. Sebastian Kuhn, though, has been riding this brilliantly. 44, 45 kilometers an hour. He's gained 13 seconds on Tim Fulford, but the big race is looming after this. Cityscape New York, the 3-time scoring multiplier with flat tire. They've gotten to race it once, now they get to race it once more after this. But on the front currently, Sebastian Kuhn is rocking away. Kayla, who's made a return to racing, is finding her form down in 4th place. And she's doing excellent here to move on up. Only 1 second behind, but Tim with wind at his back. Last straightaway, he wants to try and secure his lead because he's worried, not about the front, not about Sebastian. I think Sebastian, unless he makes a mistake, is out of sight, out of mind. But Ben, Kayla, they're on the track behind him. They're just closing in on him, and he knows this. And so he wants to try and secure as many points as possible, but he's up against it in this zone. Further back, Peter Castro with corner caper. He's trying to get the most out of these corners, not sliding out, coming on through. He's got Bonnie the barn door. Will he manage to fit on through? Yes, he will. He passes his teammate Ben Shuilong. He blows out the birthday candles. There's no gifts here in cycling. Beth on the right, Ben on the left. He gets passed by another rider as they move on through. Tim with corner caper will not be able to catch up to Sebastian as Beth with a 3rd consecutive crash. Oh no, as Beth goes down once more as she's fought valiantly. She's gone down, she came back, she's gone down, she came back, she's gone down again. Unfortunately, I don't think she'll come back a 3rd time. But Sebastian Kuhn, this is a man who's locked in. He is ready and he is rolling as 200 meters remain. He's got a left-hand turn. Today does finish with Saturn, and that is one of his best courses to race on. We'll see what Sebastian Kuhn brings to the table in terms of the celebration game, as he does go on to win, as he pulls. Not sure, that was a half-franc celebration, but we'll give Sebastian that. Excellent, very well earned. Tim Fulford, cramp in the kneecap, cramp in the stomach, still gets 2nd place. Peter Kastrup in 3rd. As he'll cross the line, Kayla with a great 4th place, Ben in 5th. It will not be today, but the question remains, when will it be? But we'll keep on asking. Beth York coming over the line. She had a really good race considering how many tumbles she did end up taking in the end. But more is up to grabs on this course. Vibeke Bertram as well, Velocity Vixen, not having their best of outings here in Country Rally. Jonathan Heron, good performance. Even Nilsson versus Vibeke Bertram. This finish here could be close. Nope, never mind. Even Nilsson crashes into the barricade. Quinten blew up like an old Ford Mustang. Top front just went away, and I'm not sure what happened. It could just be the legs giving out or looking towards the next race. Let's see the instant replay of the finish one more time. Sebastian Kuhn, calm, composed, onto a winner here, takes maximum points. Now it's time for that race. We called Summit Islands the Beast. 3 laps of Summit Islands was tough, but I think 4 laps of Cityscape New York City with wind like this, with flat tire power-ups, it must be up there to rival the level of toughness a possible event can give. Now, Sebastian, the German from Team Cognition, the team that just keeps on rock and rolling. Sebastian, congratulations. That was a well-thought victory. I love your celebrations. I love your racing style. That last race, was it good to win on Country Rally?
Yeah, always feels good to win. But that's it for today for me. You will not see me celebrating again. I'm dead.
Now, the last time you said that, Sebastian, you obliterated everybody on Saturn. So, excuse me and the rest if you go, I don't quite believe you, Sebastian.
You can trust me. I only tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Somehow, I can only advise against do not play poker against Sebastian Kuhn, because you will end up losing. Love it, Sebastian. Good luck here in the next race, as flat tire is a power-up. Tim, the legs gave out a tiny bit, or the leg, then the stomach. What's the situation with the cramps currently? Oh, I'm not sure that Tim can hear us, but we'll come back. That's all fine. I want to hear from his teammate instead, because Quinten in that last race looked poised to be third place again. Quinten, what happened?
We decided to work for Tim, since he still needed a few races under his belt for his total points amount. So the thing you saw was just me working for 2 laps and then just giving everything that I had in the tank in the straight to the finish line, and then just let Tim go.
Ah, I see. I thought you just totally and utterly blew up with like a lap and a half to go. So
I did, but it was.
Well, I'll give it to you, Quinten. Good teamwork from Cycling Up. We'll see this next race coming up. Does it give slight like PTSD coming up to this race with flat tires, with the wind once more?
Nah, I don't think so. I think the asset that is there will stay there. I don't think there will be any PTSD that can be added to it.
I like it. Good luck, Quinten. Good luck Cycling Up. We've got the scoreboard up here once more, so you can see the full screen. Sebastian currently leads. Remember, it is his preferred zone, so we also get 16 bonus points extra. Christian Weidman does so too, and Peter Kastrup as well. So Tim is up against it, but you can see Tim second, Peter third, Christian fourth, Kayla fifth, Ben sixth, and so on it goes. This race coming up now. 1 flat tire, 1 quantum shift. Now, I did call it corner caper earlier. Do apologize, but in this race, we'll see how they get used. In the last one, it was a tough race. I think this one will be no different as we watch the racing get out of the gate early on. Sebastian Kuhn with the initial acceleration. Vibeke Bertram. Everyone getting up to speed, so we can see the Velocity Vixen out of Denmark here. Linking up with Beth York, finding themselves early on as the first flat tire gets used. That I could not see who that was, but somebody definitely used it on the front. Kim Fairchild, Sebastian Kuhn here. Jonathan Heron, who looks to be the one who used his flat tire. I've been let known that I should call him Pocket Rocket or just a Rocket. I did see that he did win a Wahoo kicker the other day, so very capable bike rider, and we'll see what he can bring to the table here as he also occasionally streams over on his platform. So Rocket, Jonathan Rocket here, let's see what he can do. He needs to move over into the draft. We're seeing the draft move on up, and Tim at the back here. Very clever racer, understanding the echelons is Kayla Laguna with her flat tire. Whoosh! There she goes. That reminds me of Paula when she used hers. Pretty much the exact same spot, and that is where the racing really started to break up. Will anyone bridge across to Kayla or let her slide? Now, Beth uses hers. Clever move there, because if Kayla sees this, if they're on the Discord together, if they're an audio widget, they can talk, but no, Kayla slow to bring it up. 193. We've raced less than a kilometer. We're already at 193 for Beth, 191 for Kayla. There is a lot of racing left here, and you've got to make sure you slowly ride into it. As Quinten Molinez says, he's riding for his team leader, Tim Fulford. He's yet to do all 6 Omniums to count on cycle data, so they're trying to bring him up and see what they can do, but this will be a tough ask. Kim Fairchild, Kayla Laguna with a brilliant racing on the front. Pocket Rocket, Jonathan Heron on the back here in the bluest. Peter Castro with his flat tire says, remember me guys, I am still here. But he was 2 seconds off the back, and then Jonathan Heron then uses his flat tire. Now, Peter did a petition for the flat tire power-up to be banned. Fortunately, the commissioners did not hear him in between racing, and that means he has to race through this race. But it's fair and square for everybody, and this is where having teammates make the difference. As once more, Contador v Sleck, Quinten, Peter, Castro, races of epic proportions as Quinten uses his flat tire. Every single time a flat tire gets used, you can see Quinten smiling about it, looking over, seeing everybody suffering. But then Vibeke goes, you know what? I can smile too, as she uses her flat tire power-up. Every time the flat tire gets used, Every rider but the rider using it gets brought down to 0 kilometers an hour. As Vibeke skillfully, you can see Vibeke's face as well. Not happy with the Rocket Man on the front there. He is still standing and he's literally, blocking the road of Velocity Vixen in the replay. You can see on the replay as well, Kim Fairchild with his flat tire as they're just being popped left, right, and center. But what is happening? Tim and the Rocket Man here, they're flying off the front at 90 miles an hour here as they are not literally, but 48 kilometers an hour. Jonathan Heron with a big power spike. 680 equalized watts, 192. He bridges across to Kim Fairchild. This is an unlikely pairing, but this is why CVRcade World Cup is epic. If you said at the beginning of the day the two-man breakaway would be Kim Fairchild, the most lovable man out there is, and Jonathan Heron, I would have said you think not, but this is where they are. Thanks to physical equalization, they're finding each other off the front, and now those near the back, they're being forced to move on up. Vibeke Bertram in her preferred zone, streaming in today, being part of this great Mixer broadcast with all of you in the Mixer chat. She's fighting to get back on terms with her teammate Beth York, who's further up. Now, with all the power-ups, with all the speed differentials, we've yet to complete the first lap of 4 here on Cityscape New York. This is a race with the power-ups that really take a lot out of you. As you can see, the riders on the front, Kim and Jonathan, still move together. Tim is in this peculiar position of being between the front group and the back, but he gets back up here. We look back, where is Sebastian Kuhn? He came into the racing, the red hot favorite on the front. He said he had nothing left in the tank, but we've been there before, ladies and gentlemen. We can count it on almost 2 hands whenever Sebastian goes, you know what? I'm feeling it. I've got nothing left. That's the last time you see me celebrate. Then bam, Sebastian attacks. Bam, he's got more. That is what a great racer brings to the table. A poker face that you can never really tell just exactly how they are feeling. But currently, he is struggling. In opposite land, down with the bot patrol, Ben Shuilong is enjoying the picnic with Samuel, Howard, Elisha, Guillermo. So is Quentin Molyneux. I think he's just saving up for the last race of the day on Saturn Circuit Complete. Meanwhile, just racing, getting accustomed, getting race miles in the legs. There's Tim and Jonathan on the front. These two know each other well, and we'll see how they can work together. As Jonathan just happy on the trigger finger. I think we've gone through this great progression of racing, and I think it really comes on through here. And it's unfortunately it's happening to Kim, to Beth, etc. You can see Beth slightly exaggerated, slightly out of breath as the first lap concludes. Now, we've had this whole discussion about positive and negative racing and block-in and not block-in, but you gotta be in it to experience it. And so we've had the similar set of crowd of racers that have raced in and out the same Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with new additions. Now Jonathan is an experienced racer, and of course he's gonna like some blocking on the front. That is what he is made to do, and you gotta learn it. You gotta come through the program and have it done to you. As he is taking out Tim Fulford here, putting on a bit of a brake check and then attacking off the front. And this is expected to happen. It's like a kid in a candy store. You have lived in the dark ages, and now you come to probably the richest, the gameplay-wise platform that allows blocking, allows power-ups, realistic drafting. If you unleash a kid in a candy store and you can say, do whatever you want, they're going to go and take every piece of candy. Now, they're going to consume every piece of candy, and the next day, they're going to have a stomachache, they're going to have a toothache, but they don't know that until the next day. And we're going to see that as more racers get on the platform, as more racers get accustomed to racing with CVRcade, and they do things and things get done to them, they start to realize where the seesaw lays. Like, where does the balance be? But as a broadcaster, I can tell you, I am loving this because this is what we need. This is what we need to start the conversations that really make the racing epic. But Sebastian is about to be swept up by the bot patrol. He's still got a good chance here. He does have bonus points from the preferred zone, but the question remains, if he is struggling here in Cityscape New York, Saturn Circuit Complete has got wind once more. It's got some powerful power-ups, and that will see who's going to win the overall. But Tim, Mr. Consistent on the day, but Vibeke Bertram and Beth York have bridged to the breakaway here. Fresh legs, and both of them doing very well here up near the front. As they're sitting in, they're getting in the draft. Kim Fairchild as well. Excellent performance. Kim has been racing on the platform, getting accustomed as Jonathan gets his hand in the candy jar once more. Picks out maybe some licorice. No, what was that? Not quite sure. Maybe a mint or two as he just finds the front of Vibeke Bertram and Beth again. I think they're going to be looking at Jonathan thinking, I'm going to steer away. But Kim Fairchild, fantastic effort to be in this position of the race. But this is where physical equalization enables, it allows anybody to be up here at the front of the racing. As Jonathan once more takes out Vibeke Bertram. Oh, you can see Vibeke's face. She is not enjoying that one bit. So Jonathan, the pocket rocket, just unleashing his inner child, taking out Vibeke Bertram and Beth York. They're both here. They're fighting against this. They know what they're up against. They have experienced this before. I think Beth may have been the very first person ever on the platform to be blocked with intent. And so she'd been in this position before. She knows what it's like. And this was the point we see now from Kim that I was going to make. Kim Fairchild, you have physical equalization. It enables, it allows riders to be at the front of the racing. You've got a chance to be up there. That doesn't take away general fitness. Like, if you have years and years and years of fitness built up in your body, that's going to come to play in the racing. Like, when you get into tough situations like this, the first lap you feel like, oh, this is good. Second lap, you start running on empty. The third lap, not much left. And that is where being a good racer, being a good racer really makes a difference. Being a racer with big stamina, and that's what we're seeing with Kim Fairchild. He's building up that stamina. We saw it as well from Kayla in the beginning. She was building up the stamina. Fortunately, she's been out with illness, but now she is she's such a strong racer. But that took time as well. As the pocket rocket, Beth York. Oh, they go head to head. This is going to be some excellent words being shared afterwards. Jonathan did have a great suggestion on the riders forum. Now, how can you prevent this? Every racer is given a quantum shift power-up. Now, is this the point you want to use it? That's the question that's going to be asked. But can you use it? Yes. Now, this is the game. It allows for gameplay like this. Jonathan is new in. He's going to have fun with it. Now, he may win today, but what we've seen, because we've been through this, like we've had first base, second base, third base, and home runs when it comes to blocking. But over the arc of racing, what goes around comes around. I mean, we've seen Frank, Nigel, Quinton, Ryan, Tim, Timothy, like everybody at one point or another, Moti, have been guilty of severe blocking. But then it comes around. Then suddenly people, they don't forget. Like, they may forgive, but they don't forget. Which means next time they find themselves in a similar position, they will not think twice. We saw it earlier as well with Quinton and Peter. It's interesting to see how this one pans out. Currently, Tim is in the front with the pocket rocket. These two on Cityscape New York sharing blows up here. But everybody gets a quantum shift, and you can get away with it. If you use your quantum shift, you can move on through, and you will not be adhered in your path. Now, you only get one. You got to use it wisely. But both Beth and Vibeke, if they get in front of Jonathan, they've got a chance. But that's the difficult part, because Jonathan looks like he's got diamonds in the legs today. He's really holding pocket aces. Now, whether or not one of those pocket aces came from the sleeve or the table, I guess we'll wait and see here as he goes up against one of the strongest racers on the platform, winning the previous zone, and he's back for more. Beth is the first is the first victim of this chasing group together with Kim Fairchild. She was at 196 equalized heart rate, raced brilliantly, but now she's going to have to let go. And the bot patrol is coming back. I mean, the bot patrol is not far back. I mean, we get so concentrated on the front group, but with all the racing happening, like Sebastian is back here, they're only 13 seconds back from Tim and Jonathan. And with Tim having cramps, not only in the kneecap, which is strange, but also in the stomach, I mean, you'd imagine that there might not be that much left in the tank. So those riders, the Christians, the Bens, the Kaylas, the Sebastians, even the Kims, if they have recovered, they could bridge across. They got relatively close in the last zone, and perhaps this will be the one. But Vibeke Bertram on the front, she's a lone soldier. She has not given up. The lights shine upon her, and they are bright. What can she do? She means business. She got out, she got the Velocity Vixen shirt, which looks great on her and in the game, getting those matching bonus points for the streaming, and now she knows she's up against it. She's got to make a decision. She's got to make a decision soon and assertive, because Tim is 7 seconds up the front with Jonathan, then 10 seconds back is the bot patrol. Either you sit up now, or you go across to the front now. Now, neither is an easy choice to make, but the longer you stay in this middle ground, the longer you're going to just expend energy, and it could come to hurt you in the end. If we bring down the scoreboard and we see how it's affected, you will see that Tim Fulford currently leading. He's got 171.5. Sebastian in second place with 163, and Christian Weidman in third. But bonus points, bonus points, bonus points is still close. Sebastian will get 16 bonus points. You got Christian Weidman with 16 bonus points. You got Peter Kastrup with 16 bonus points, who is still in the racing. He's just off the back, but still riding around. Tim and Jonathan trading turns on the front, using the wind to their advantage. See Jonathan quick to pick it up here. Now, Jonathan did have a great suggestion on the CVRcade Riders Forum. I suggest you go and read about it, but I think there will be another conversation after this involving the Pocket Rocket Man over on CVRcade Riders. 4.6 kilometers remain. If you've enjoyed the racing today, you've seen the Caseys, you've seen the Nigels, the Tims, the Sebastians, the Peters, the Vibeke, the Bevs, the Quintons, the Timothys. Make sure to click the follow button down below. These heroes, champions, they come back every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday for more exciting racing. If you want to see them, click that follow button down below. You get notified every time we go live. And there are highlights of all the racing on YouTube, shorter clips on Facebook, and from time to time clips on Instagram as well. So make sure to check us out on social media. Now, it's interesting to see what's going to happen in this chase group, because Quinton has been sitting in, he's been resting up, 151. He's got an opportunity here to play enforcer for his captain. They admitted they're racing for Tim. They've got a 15-second gap, but if anyone gets any ideas about breaking away from this group, i.e. Sebastian, Kayla, Ben, Christian, Quinton's job here is to make sure they don't get away. Now, he's got multiple ways of doing this. Straight up blocking is one. It's not as effective anymore with the gameplay changes. Other one is sitting on the wheel, sitting on the wheel, sitting on the wheel. And when the time comes and they get tired, you come over the top and you give the killer blow. So at the back here we can see Ben Shuilong. He's always broadcasting in as well. He had his teammate, sorry, his cheerleader on earlier. May also be a very young acquisition for CCC. You never know if we need more bodies with physical equalization. She could be a rock star. You never know. Allowing and enabling everybody across all ages, price ranges, etc. to ride and race fairly. But the time for Vibeke Bertram on the front here. She hasn't lost any time on the chasing group, and she hasn't lost any time on the bot patrol. She truly is in the position where it hurts the most. She doesn't get any support. She doesn't get any encouragement. She can't only just see them up in the front. But whenever they turn left, whenever they turn out of sight, it gets so difficult. But I commend Vibeke on her spirit, on her warrior spirit here to fight on through, up against all odds. She doesn't just lay down and wait for the chasing group. No, she sits in here, and at 188 equalized heart rate, you can see the sweat on her face, the redness. She's definitely feeling it a bit, but she wants it. And that's what CVRcade World Cup is about. How badly do you want something? You can't just get things given to you unless you're Timothy Timont and Mountain Bike by Jesper, but you gotta go out there and you gotta grab them, and that's what we're seeing to Vibeke. Sorry, Timothy, that was just a race that came to mind. But Tim Fulford, Jonathan Heron sharing their duties on the front, but again, Tim has got his. I assume Tim still has his flat tire. We know Jonathan does not. So if it was to come to a sprint finish, Tim does have the advantage. But he knows that he's at a disadvantage when it comes to the preferred zone points. Sebastian getting 16 points would move him on up, but Saturn Circuit Complete looms around the corner once more. 4 laps, 2.5 square multiplier. 1 weight lifted and 1 wind at your back. Anything can happen, especially in that race, because the Bot Patrol further down, I mean, Elisha, Guillermo, Tiero, Elisha, they're doing such a good job here. They are riding and they're just providing a draft from everybody. It looks like this may as well be the Rise and Rip group ride with Beth York on a Monday or Friday morning, as they're just very nicely having their pace line. They move to the right, they move to their left, and if you want to hear more about that, the podcast is dropping tomorrow at 10 a.m. UK time over on YouTube. There'll be a Facebook post. Keep an eye if you want to hear about how to learn how to pace line like the Bot Patrol. Be sheep-herded with, well, ride with Beth, talk to Beth, and talk with the other riders, and have a good morning start with your coffee. We go back up to the front. This is where Tim and Casey, where the gloves came off in the last zone. 1.7 kilometers remained. Timothy used his power up to slow Casey down. Now Tim accelerates. It'll be interesting to see what happens here amongst them. Tim did say that he was going to stay with the Bot Patrol. Now, Jonathan on the front here definitely is not the Bot Patrol. He's been riding hard. He's been riding fast. They've been riding riders off. They had Kim Fairchild. He's gone. They had Beth York. She's gone. They had Vibeke Bertram. She's gone. Now it's down to a heads-up fight here. Now, I would give the advantage to Jonathan purely based on the power that he can produce like this. Tim shakes his head. He's like, I ain't got it. He may still have his power up, but that would probably be the time to use it. But he shakes his head going, what is a man supposed to do? Jonathan Heron, pocket rocket man. He came in like a wrecking ball. And Jonathan Heron will get his maiden victory here in Cityscape, New York. What an amazing race. Strategy on point, honestly. But there goes Tim. With a flat, you question why he didn't use it earlier, but he's got a chance here to come around. Now, Jonathan upping the pace. He's looking at the riders nearby list. He still has 3 kilometers an hour on him. He still had the power up, but this time the tune is going to sing a different song. We wait and go back because Quinton is leading the group. He wants to take all the points away from the chasing group. He knows that Sebastian is a threat. He knows Ben is a threat. Ben with Quantum Shift goes on through the group here, and he wants to get the points. He wants to move on up. Quinton, Sebastian, flat tire from Ben. This could be an opportunity as well again on the front for Tim. This could not be all over as Sebastian with this. Tim shakes his head. So Sebastian goes, my turn. Ben has not even come back. Ben has just blown everything he's got, so I'm not sure what just happened to Ben there. He's just out of the picture. So maybe a bit of a mechanical. As Vibeke gets past, Sebastian moves on through. Tim is further up here as Jonathan Heron, the pocket rocket man, now 94 equalized heart rate, pops Quantum Shift. I don't need it. This is mic drop from Jonathan Heron. But Homer Thompson, out of nowhere, his flat tire. Oh my goodness, they're down in the trenches. They're blocking left and right. And it's a very defensive race. Tim Fulford will take second place over the line. But the fight for the secondary positions is all important. Sebastian currently 4 points ahead of Tim on the scoreboard. And there is nothing that Quentin Molyneux can do to take those points back. Sebastian will take this lead into Saturn Circuit Complete. That face tells you everything you need to know as he leans over. Quentin looks down. Vibeke Bertram. Oh, she's gonna. Oh, Christian. Oh, Vibeke and Christian. That's gonna be close. That's gonna be ever so close. 51 for Christian. Vibeke 57. You could see the celebration from Vibeke beating Christian to the line. What a race. Like, we talk about the beast. We talk about Saturn or Summit Islands being tough. That race we just witnessed is no difference. I mean, they were going at it. They were just fighting the wind. Pocket Rocket, Jonathan coming through here, racing well. As the mic drop gets delivered from Jonathan, then the flat tire, then a flat tire, then the flat tire, then a flat tire. That finish, you think you've got a gap, but then somebody had been keeping their power up in the bank as Jonathan Giron, you can see, taking the victory for the team. Quentin over the line. Vibeke versus Christian. This sprint is epic, and you can see how much it means to Vibeke once she crosses the finish line. But Tim, that race... Jonathan, newcomer to the platform, what was that like?
Yeah. I wanted to work with him, and I'm still not sure whether he was trying to work with me or not, or trying to block me. But I've just averaged 365 real watts for 23 minutes, so I don't think we worked very well together. But yeah, I mean, let's go at it. It's Saturn. It's 4 laps. Let's make this thing happen. See what we can do.
I like it. That looked like a lot of fun. Thanks, Tim. We've only got 2 minutes, so I want to make the quick round. Sorry about that. Sebastian, second. Sorry. That race at the end, it looked like you didn't have much left. You tried to follow it. You sit on the front, but it's Tim you're up against. How confident are you?
I'm pleased with second, third, fourth. Top 10. It was close, the last one. I must say, Vibeke does not ride very ladylike. She's the women top blocker number 1.
I love that. Trash talk and fighting talk, Sebastian. Could you explain, so what happened to you in that last race?
What happened to me?
Yes.
I rested with the bots because I had nothing left, and I hope that the bots will go faster than the front on the tailwind section, and it was the case. So I'm very pleased with the result.
Cool. Let's go have a word with Beth. Beth, from where I stood, that looked like quite the race. Was that the case?
Oh, man. Well, fun and games. I was hoping at the beginning there when I saw Kayla go that she would see me and follow. I wasn't in comms with her. I was in comms with my team. She was a little late on it, but I think if the two of us could have worked together, we might have opened that up a little bit. But it was early in the race, and Jonathan and Tim proved they had legs. So in hindsight, they would have caught us, but it still would have been fun to try. At the beginning there, I thought, Jonathan must be working with Tim because he's blocking me and giving Tim advantage. Tim doesn't need that kind of advantage. Block Tim, not me. You know, I'll work with you, man. So anyway, yeah, lots of fun. I was trying to get Vibeke back up there. But the flat tires at the end, like boom, 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 was just like, that just hammered. That was like the nail in the coffin for me. And, you know, like a half a kilometer to go. I'm like, really? 5 flat tires? Brutal. 10 seconds.
Good luck, Beth. Here we go with the racing once more. What will Jonathan Giron bring to the table here? Because he was a wrecking ball in the last race. He's got an opportunity to move even further up. We watched the racing begin here with Tim Fulford on the screen. This is the last of 4 races in Zone L. We've seen Zone K, now we're on to Zone L. Quentin Molyneux, 900 equalized watts. He did this last zone as well. His first few laps, he went off the front quick and rapid and got a gap. He's already got 2 seconds here, and he's got a potential chance of moving up into 3rd spot, but they need to wrestle this man. Sebastian Kuhn, I can see Tim already on the outside. He's going with the option of pressuring Sebastian into a mistake, surrounded by riders, as Vibeke Bertram goes, you know what? if you're all playing mind games, I'm gonna go off the front. But you heard what Sebastian said. #1 female blocker in the game. I'm sure that will be discussed widely afterwards, after the racing. Fascinating. Didn't quite catch that in the racing last, but Vibeke goes off the front here with the win. She wants to catch back up to Quinton Molyneux. Good to have her on the stream. Good to see the suffering, the laughs, the joys, the celebrations, but also the downfalls with the crashes. Peter Kastrup down in 7th. A tale of two zones here today. First zone, strong and composed, up against Tim on the front. This one, he's been struggling. He finds himself 7th in the Omnium so far, and now, can he finish it off? Christian Wireman has been excellent today. Ben Shuilong as well. But one long line they go. Here's Quinton is still off the front. Sebastian gets on out. He passes Ben. Takes some rest and shelter in the draft. But I think this first tight corner coming up is going to be all decisive. Tim needs the extra points here on Sebastian to win the zone. But he's also thinking about the points on the cycle data scoreboard as he moves on through. 43. Vibeke is going to get close here. Tim, Vibeke, everybody, as Peter Kastrup, somehow the only rider in that altercation to go down, as Beth slams into the back of Peter. She can't be happy with that, but she is fighting on through. Fake player Ada has made it on through here. We've seen Eli not once but twice get in amongst the action, and now Ada is the chosen one up into 4th place as rider having to maneuver around. Quinton Molyneux, though, having the opportunity to draft in the last race. He's got a gap off the front, but I think he's just looking over, waiting for Tim here. He's sitting up. You can see him spinning his legs. I think he wanted to be off the front, but he was hoping his captain would be there with him. He doesn't want to spend too much energy all on his lonesome, so he comes safely through the corner. We've seen Tim make a mistake here before, but not this time. What has Quinton got here? Well, Quinton up for the block. Oh, he tries. He tries. But it wasn't meant to be. Now, Tim has a 6.5 points. Sebastian says, I see you. I see you. Oh, God. Today has been spicy. Today has definitely been hot and heated. And this is what happens. There's so much on the line. Not only the money. I mean, the winner of the bracketed session on Saturday, on next week in the tournament, wins $3,000. But the pride, and you know what, when Sebastian did that to Quinton, I think that spurred some life back into Quinton, and Quinton says, you know what, I see you, it is on, and I think this is going to be very edgy coming to the end now. It's going to be catch and go, catch and release between Sebastian and Quinton here. Sebastian on the inside, Quinton on the outside. This is anxious, this is so close, as Tim and Quinton, they did this to Casey earlier today, and they're giving the cycling hub treatment here to Sebastian, saying, we see you, and they're just edging ever closer, trying to force out a mistake as Ben Shuey along further down, using his power. Sebastian with wind at his back. He wants none of this nonsense. No nonsense, man. Sebastian Kuhn, wind at his back, accelerates on through. He just wants to get rid of the competition. He doesn't want to be in a world where blocking is a thing. He doesn't want to be in here. He knows he's got a lead at the top, and Tim and Quinton are out to get him, so he uses wind at his back. But that early one could maybe come back to bite him, as it is Quinton Molyneux chasing him down further back. This is so interesting because the little gestures you do on the stream, they're amazing, they're good, but once you show your hand, you kind of entice the competition to come after you. It's like saying, I see you, and then Quinton, who possibly was done for the day, goes, I ain't having none of that. And he decides to step back up, put down the steak and fries, and get back onto it as Tim in 3rd spot. He needs both him and Quinton to come on through. Tim, to win the Omnium, would have to win by 16 points ahead of Sebastian Kuhn. So that would require at least 2 riders to make the difference on the top. 2 riders would need to be between Tim and Sebastian. And it's a tough one. And Quinton and Tim know this. They do the math. They understand the equation at hand. So they're trying to get both riders up. But look at what it's doing to Quinton Molyneux here. Having to suffer, having to dig deep. Already dug deep in one zone as 4 kilometers remain. Once they cross the start-finish banner, 2 laps are left But Sebastian Kuhn is doing the only thing you can do here is, you know what? When the odds are stacked against you, you go out and you make pancakes on your own, because that's what Sebastian Kuhn is doing here. He's got his maple syrup that Ryan Goldenberg showed on stream the other day. He is ready to go. But we go back and we talk about Country Rally. Do you remember when Sebastian Kuhn said, "That's the last time you see me celebrating. My legs are shut. I ain't got nothing left." But fast forward to now. Here's Sebastian Kuhn off the front, on the top of the leaderboards, and poised for a second chance to celebrate. But Christian Weidman, with wind at his back, he comes on through here. That 20 kilometers an hour tailwind, I think is turning the tailwind into the headwind into a tailwind. He's trying to get back up. Is this his preferred zone? He is doing great here. He's poised for third place, and Christian Weidman, Team Experimental, as Tim Fulford uses his wind at his back. Sebastian has already used his, so this is Tim's attempt to get back on. Cramps in the first race. Now he's come back. Today has been so good story-wise. Pocket Rocket comes in like a wrecking ball. He hears there's a party and he wants to get involved. And now you see Tim trying to make up this deficit. He won't just lay over and play dead. He's going to try and claw back that gap to Sebastian Kuhn. 5 seconds is the gap, but Sebastian is not going to let that go very easily. Ben Shuilong kind of gets better as the racing progresses. Every single time we get to this point, he's just got that mental space he can go to where it just stops hurting, it just stops suffering. You just continue rocking away, bopping away. You've got the music in your head. And now he's got Christian Weidman 4 seconds up the road. Peter Castro has had one spillage today, but he's fighting to get back up. You can see the lights upon him. He is a man in a world of pain. Beth York further down. Quinton down in 9th as well, as he gets passed by Vibeke Bertram. Excellent performance in the last race, but that has sapped a lot of energy out of the legs. Sebastian enters the spiral of doom, the leg sapper here, as he comes over the climb. Once they cross the finish banner, that rings the bell for the last lap of racing today here in Zone K and Zone L. We have more racing later on tonight. Zone T, Mo TP Kelly, Louise Soper and Nice, Nigel Doyle, Jennifer Garcia, Aaron Starlin, with Beth York on the commentary squad. Make sure, circle your calendar, set a note, set an alarm. But the only thing that can really shake things up here is the top two in the front. Who's going to win the stage? Sebastian comes safely on through. We've seen Tim crash here before, and that's very close. He can see him. This is going to be a great finish, everybody. Hold on to your seat, your hats and glasses, because Tim Fulford, I think, will do one last attempt. He's in a world of pain here. 193 equalized heart rate. We're on the first person camera as we get the side-by-side spot of Sebastian on the front. 185, he's rocking away. You can see the two different postures. Sebastian more upright, more air coming in. Tim leaning over, more tight, more head down, somewhat defeated. As you watch the two, Tim is looking down, saying, "Come on, Lex, more wattage, come on, put more coal on the fire, more wood on the fire, let's go." But the steamboat is running out of steam now. As 1.5 kilometers remain, but nothing can take away for the fantastic effort that both of these racers have produced today. Tim over 2 zones, Sebastian in 1 zone, as 1 kilometer is left. The secondary positions here are close as well, as Ben Shuilong in 4th is fighting forward. If we can bring up our full scoreboard for a second, just so you can see how close it actually is. Sebastian 250, Tim Fulford 236, Christian 192, Jonathan Heron, great performance from the Pocket Rocket, Kayla, Quinton, Vibeke, there you have it. But 1 kilometer is left. Sebastian Kuhn, the judge, the jury, the executioner at will, prefers to be the one dishing out the pain and being on the receiving end. And he is issuing a sentence, and it's 25 to life right now as Sebastian Kuhn leaves no prisoners behind. He's got the tight left hand turn coming up, the leg zapper, and then the chicane. But then we can see the celebration once more. But Tim is not gonna let up so easily. He can still see him. It's so cruel because he's just up the road, entering the spiral, entering the leg zapper is Sebastian Kuhn. As we see the two riders, will anyone make a mistake? The chicane is the pressure point that remains. It's going to be close because Tim Fulford has weight lifted. He's going to unleash everything. Look at the speed differential. He's going 12 kilometers an hour quicker. He's got a chance to come over the top. It's not over before the fat lady sings, and I have not sung yet. Tim catches up. 3 seconds is the difference between them. You can see he's looking on, but is he running out of steam? Once more, he's slowing down not to crash. It's going to be a drag race. Whoever takes this corner better is in a better position coming out to the finish line. Sebastian comes through. Tim is risking it. Here is the drag line. Sebastian stands up. 600. Tim 900 equalized watts. But it will be Sebastian Kuhn who takes the victory. I can see how much that means to him as Tim Fulford crosses the line in second. Amazing to even get that close as Tim Fulford completely spent secondary positions. Christian Weidman will cross the finish line. Peter Castro is coming quite hot into this corner. He might actually just slide out. I think we'll see a drag race between the two teammates. Shout out to Christian Weidman in third, but Peter, Ben coming on through. Are they going to sprint for it? Yes, they are. They're putting on a show. Peter on the ride, and he's going to take points away from Ben further down. Ben will go, right, you have it, Peter. You can have your points. Beth and Vibeke Bertram further down. And they've got the finish line coming up as well as Beth one more time. Seems like more rise and rip rides required to go through the crashing spots on Saturn. Vibeke Bertram, I bow down. Excellent. Thank you so much for being in the broadcasting today. As you can see the face. Thumbs up from Vibeke. Pleasure to have you in. She in Beth style. Here we've got the Velocity Vixen corner. But without further ado, let's watch the instant replay. Tim, Sebastian, the finish, I did not expect it to get so close. Tim really dug deep at the end with weight lifted. It was a matter of meters in the end. And then you see Sebastian Kuhn coming on through, sprint to the line. He has that bit of an early jump on Tim. Tim hasn't even started sprinting yet, but there he does start sprinting as he comes on through. And Sebastian Kuhn is the rider who ends up celebrating, takes the stage, takes the Omnium. Applause from Tim as you get the lion's roar from Sebastian. Sebastian, congratulations, but can we go back to earlier today? Can we just rewind the tape? I thought your legs were shut.
Yeah, they were, but Tim had physical problems, so without that he would have caught me easily. So it's a lucky win. Nothing more.
I love the modesty, but I think you're taking too much away from yourself, Sebastian. It's very well-deserved victory. We saw you a bit animated. Quinten came around, you were making some signals. What happened there?
I saw it before that Quinten waited for me to block me. And I tricked him out. I tried to, and it worked. And that made me a little bit happy.
Well, it is the small things that make your day. But Sebastian, congratulations. Good to have you back on top. Let's go and talk to the rider who almost came back. Tim, that last climb, weight lifted, you get within 2 seconds. I mean, walk me through what goes on in your head because you're so close to catching him.
Yeah, not a lot you can do really. I thought if I kept him within 10 seconds, he'd keep the pressure on, he might crash and then give everything on that last climb. But when you've got 80 or so K of racing your legs, you don't have much of a sprint. So gave it what I could. And at the start of the day, I wanted 500 points from the two. I think I've done that. So I'm happy with that.
2 zones back to back. Like for us mere mortals, try and explain Just exactly how do you do that?
Fluid, fueling, good music, and a refusal to stop. But yeah, no, it's not easy, but it's all good training and good fun and lots of different racing dynamics. I've just had a chat with Jonathan about New York and wind angles, so I think we were trying to work together, but we didn't quite nail it.
Well, back to the drawing board, because that was spectacular if that was the case. Thank you, Tim. Congratulations. Well-earned dinner. Beth, last words. As we can see, she's just chatting to the team. As a team captain today, Beth, how happy are you? Because Paula in the first race, fantastic. Vibeke in the second Omnium, and you as well. What's it like to be a team captain for Velocity Vixen?
Oh, I'm loving having everyone show up and come out in the racing. Sometimes I was actually just in the comms with my teammate talking about, all the different race tactics that we're seeing and how flat tires being used, because that's relatively new. So a lot of, you have a couple good races with your teammates, and then, you don't have this high placements again. And it's just because everybody just keeps racing smarter. But the communication that we're having, the fun that we're having, trying stuff out and practice, it's just awesome. It's just awesome to see Vibeke with her kit now, and it's just wonderful to have them out in force, and everybody's learning, and particularly Paula, who's completely new to cycling. So so when people are thinking that she's a complete newbie, and she's really doing well, I'm happy to see her out here.
Well, I think the best gift you can give Paula this Christmas time is a guide on how to not gutter people but work with people, because it's brilliant to see her racing. Give her a free ticket to the Casey seminar of how to draft on the front.
Yeah, I'll make sure I send Casey a note so he knows, because once she gets it, she's an incredibly intelligent competitor. She does lots of different sports, so once it clicks, it's going to be quite magical. So I'd look out for her.
Love it. Thank you, Beth, and thank you for all the racers who provided us with interviews today, your suffering, etc. Before we shut up for the day, we've got Zone T tonight, but we've also got all the highlights of Zone K and L coming up, as we just watch the final replay once more as the production team try and figure out how to get it up. Here we go. Here are all the highlights. Zone K today, and I mean, with the new races coming in on display, having Vibeke in the broadcast, I'd love to have the Pocket Rocket if he's interested in the broadcast as well. As what he did today on Cityscape New York was fascinating. But the story today was, it was a tale of two zones. It was two very different zones being played out. Peter early on, dominant. That was it looked very easy, but as a smart person once said, people make it look easy doesn't necessarily mean it is easy. It just means they're very good at what they do. But Nigel here, you'll see more of him later tonight. He almost forced a crash out of his teammate Peter Castro, but then later on they go down. We're seeing team members, teammates, and organized racing really making a difference. You want to try and be up there, as we see Timothy take down Christian Weidman, and then here you've got Team Cycling Hub with Quinton, with Tim. They really changed the way they raced the front today. It was both times that we're here, and this is where they force a mistake out of Casey Shum. Having those riders that you know the intentions of in the front gives you a bit of calmness, and it helps you out. And as the racing ramps up, with Velocity Vixen bringing out more numbers, Vibeke, Paula, Team Cycling Hub with 3 riders. They've got plenty more. They've got Chris, they've got Nils, they've got Gus to bring out as well, with several others. And having those numbers make the difference. CVRcade have recently been lacking. The team CVRcade have been lacking in numbers. That's why they've been less dominant than before. Frank, Kayla, Rick, they've been feeling the lack of team members in the racing, as Nigel gives us a bit of teaser of what's going to come up later today. But oh my goodness, does the Beast have a challenger? 3 laps Summit Islands? Well, I race you 4 laps with the wind on Cityscape New York. with flat tire power-ups. Now, every time there's a flat tire power-up, they had to accelerate, and it just changed the racing. I really liked how the racing developed from the first zone to the other zone, and this is where we're talking about Paula not exactly understanding the echelons, etc., as Nigel bringing out the gifts. I think Christmas in that household is going to be a lot of fun this year as we see the racing progressing once more. Andy Sled, Contador, Blocking came back today a tiny bit. We saw Quinten, we saw Peter, you heard Sebastian say some things as well, but also Jonathan Herona on the front. And blocking is something that comes and goes, and positive and negative racing. Ultimately today, positive racing won out. Like, really, when you look at it, Tim took the bull by the horns, attacked off the front, had the power. Then later on, Sebastian Kuhn got in trouble. He said, you know what? If this is how it's going to be, well, I'm just going to show you. And so he attacked off the front, and he left everybody else behind. And that is such a powerful strategy, because it also demoralizes the riders behind you. It demoralizes those that are trying to affect your race, because it's kind of like turning the other cheek. If you don't acknowledge it, if you don't see it, if you just go off the front, well, they get demoralized to do it. Here as Tim will cross the line. He was a beast today across both zones. He wanted 500 total points. I think he got way more than that when it comes to the end of the day. So he succeeded. He went up against Peter, and he was victorious in Zone K, but it wasn't meant to be in Zone L, because a new challenger arrived, and it was Sebastian Kuhn. Now, something that we've never seen before is what we saw here from Tim, called the Buddha. I'm not sure whether or not that name is going to stick on, but you see him trying to, stretch out the leg, getting cramped mid-range. Now, Beth tried to do a great attack here, but she gets caught off guard. But the finish in this race, oh my goodness. Christian Whiteman, excellent performance today. Hope you did hear this. You were a rock star today. So was Ryan Goldenberg. But Peter, at this point, he's counted his chickens. He's hashed them all. He knows, I've got him. But then Christian and Ryan go, no, I'm still here. And they beat him by probably like a thousandth of a second. So very close, as we see Beth with one crash early on Country Rally. See another crash later on. We see Vibeke Bertram, who was great to have you on the broadcast today. We hope to have you more on as well as the three riders on the front. Quinten and Tim, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. If they find themselves in a group for the tournament with the money on the line, they're going to be tough to beat, because they really are on the same page. When you can just see when certain riders are synchronized and they're set up and they understand without even having to do any verbal communication, you have the non-verbal communication. But this man, avoid any poker games at all costs with this man, because he will take your money and he will not think twice. Because Sebastian Kuhn, cold-hearted, just killer machine that has got legs of steel, also very nice guy, who ends up winning Country Rally Cityscape New York for the second time with the power-ups. Here comes Peter, flying on by, the Flying Dutchman, gets quickly negated by another rider. But how about Kim Fairchild as well? Kim has been rising up the ranks as a racer on the platform, and today, that was a breakout performance. He was up there for a lap and a half. Then I think the second lap, he was like, okay, I see how this is going to be. Tim, Jonathan, I bid you adieu. And I do not blame him. But one that did not give up was Vibeke Bertram. But Jonathan Heron, the pocket rocket man, new to the broadcast, experienced virtual racer of cycling, goes on to take the victory on Cityscape New York here. Great racing. Tim takes second. Sebastian Kuhn in third place, with Quinten trying to negate the points come the end. But it all came down to Saturn. The race, 4 laps. One of the OG courses, one of the courses that's been with us since the beginning of closed beta, since it was just bicycles with no avatars on it that rocked away. This is where the final battle was going to be had, as we see Vibeke just give a little bit of a fist bump as she crosses the line. But here, Sebastian understands what's happening. He sees Cycling Hub, he sees Tim, he sees Vibeke. It's a bit too antsy, it's a bit too crowded as they come on through here. Quinten feeling the efforts blowing up as he tries to get the block on Sebastian. I think if he gets that, it could be all over. And Sebastian with a clip that's going to be clipped, put on Facebook after this, and have a great caption. So have a look after that, because so many captions can be put on that. But at the end of the day, the racing concluded. An applause from Tim. The racing was epic. If you did enjoy the racing, make sure to click the follow button down below. We're back with more racing tonight for Zone T with Beth York here in the commentary booth. Look out for Jennifer Garcia, Aaron Starlin, Moti Kelly, Luis Sobranis, and many, many more. From all of us at CVRcade and the CVRcade World Cup, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time. But no, Beth York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marbles. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.